Alright guys, we'll get started in just a minute. If you haven't done so, make sure you sign in on the sign-in sheet. If you're watching this online, we'll put the sign-in sheet on there for you. It's going to be an online form. You'll find it on the website. We'll also send it to you by email. Yeah, make sure you have a training session report so you can take notes. Alright, we have about 3 more minutes.
Okay. So the most important thing in that screen is the date. This is my birthday. Oh. So, on the count of 3. That's all right. I would have brought cake, but no, sorry.
Just school.
45 bucks?
No, I'm 31. I reset at 60 back to 31. So I just turned 61, so 31. So I just told him. There's 6.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome. It's good to see you. What we're going to do today is we're going to try to make it through our first live session. It is working. It is webcasting. Through our channel right now, to some people that weren't able to make it because of locations both, and we apologize again, the locations both in Rancho Vista High School and were unavailable today, one on the last minute. So they're watching it online, so we'll see how this works. While you're online, I've sent an email to all of you that got that in an email, and in that email you'll have the website for the YouTube, as well as the online sign-in form where you need to sign in online. Okay, the rest of you guys that are here, we've got the sign-in form over here for you to do. Don't forget to grab a training session report so that you can take some notes during the session. Okay, so for today, let's see if it works. Maybe advance to the next slide. Yeah, click on the PowerPoint. Doesn't work. All right, here's our slide for the whole day. It encompasses all that we're going to learn. Anyway, so we'll welcome. We'll do some announcements. Actually, we'll save the announcements to the end. I'm going to talk a little bit about some. We'll do a session called hacks. A hack is a quick way of doing things. I'll talk about some things that you can do to, tricks of the trade sort of thing to be a better ref and to take advantage of years of experience of other refs. I'll model what we're going to do today, and then later other times you'll see other referees coming and do it. Let's see, expectations, we'll talk about expectations of all officials, and then we've got mechanics and penalties overview, and rule 4 play the game. We'll look at a lot of different types of penalties, we'll look at videos of that, talk about it, and then we've got an exit quiz and survey at the end, and then 9 o'clock we'll adjourn. Oh, I think I did that.
I told you.
Okay. All right, so before we get to that, let's talk about Lex Rev hacks. Okay, so I'm going to show you some things, some tricks of the trade that'll make for a better game experience for you. Okay, first of all, you need a bag to keep all your stuff in. It's really easy. I always keep it in the car. That way, of course, after I washed it, not this one, of course, but once I have, I'll put it in the bag, and I keep that in the car. And I do that because sometimes I'm at work, I get assigned, and I don't have time to go home and do that. So I can always keep my bag in the car. Also, what happens is after I buy a new shirt, like this one, this was like one of my first shirts, okay, and it's actually like 14 years old. I stopped using it last year. No, so what I like to do is once it's just, this was a little too far down, once it just starts to fade, maybe it's 2 or 3 years old, it's time to get a new one. Okay, and I take this one, and then I'll put it in, a little baggie. It's like an emergency pack. Okay, and I keep that in the car as well, because even though I have my bag in the back of my car, sometimes I still forget something for some whatever reason. Okay, whether I left from home or I left from work. And so in that, I'll have my old pants from the year before, okay? They're shorts. These shorts, and so I'll keep the shorts in there, and I'll also keep an old pair, my old jersey. I'll keep it there as well. And that way it's ready to go. It's in my little emergency gear, ready to, at a moment's notice, when I get that last minute assignment. Also, I keep, I just keep the old ones in little bags in my car, because, and then if you have 2 cars, sometimes I keep them in the other car as well, just because you never know when you might forget something. once I get into belts, I'll take my old belt, same thing. I'll put it into the little pack and have that there, you know, because even though I have everything packed, I might forget the belt. I hate, and nothing sucks more than not having a belt with you when you're out there throwing flags. And, has everyone left their belt at home? It's annoying, right? Okay, always keep an extra belt in your bag. Okay, also I keep extra hats, whatever hat that we have, I'll keep that in there as an emergency. And then for the bag stays in the car, but in this other bag I keep all the other equipment that I need for on the field. Okay, including this little shaving kit bag. These ones are like, this one's like $5. And you can buy this on the like Homemade or I forgot, the official store is not around anymore, right? So what's the other one you guys use?
You can buy that at Walmart.
Or you can buy it at Walmart. You can get nicer ones that last longer. And then what I do also with these is this is actually my old one. And so in my old one, notice it's the same exact bag, okay? Every year or two I'll replace something out of my repertoire of stuff, whether it's a new bag, a new whistle. Every year I'll buy one or two things, and then I'll just keep recycling the old. So here's my extra timer, my old timer, the very first one I ever had. I keep that in here. Keep a coin, keep my old measuring tape. Okay, I keep an extra one of these in this bag, including a battery one, if that one works. Let's see. And then I'll also keep my old flags. You do need to replace your flags after a while. Okay, so a lot of people they'll take their older flags and that becomes their field flags because a grass field is usually very muddy and gross. Okay, and they get all dirty. So we'll use that for your grass field flags. And then for when you buy the new flags, those become your turf field flags because on turf, you know, it's usually just wet and they don't get as dirty. So they can look nicer. Okay, and so you keep that in your bag. Also keep, I always keep my whistle brakes. I'll keep the extra pieces in there. Maybe someday I'll decide whether we're going to fix them. But I keep it in there just in case, like, worst comes to worst, I've got something in my car. So nothing's more embarrassing than asking a coach, hey, can I borrow a whistle? It's my first day of ref school and I didn't know this before. You don't want to have that conversation with them. Also, I've got, I find like these little tools sometimes at little stores and like a hardware store. You can use these to open up your timer, things like that. I keep my extra one in here. And then I've got the whistle with the sound I hate in this one, just in case. I'll have it there. And again, I'll keep that in my emergency, spot. You can always keep it in with like a tire underneath, so you're not tempted to take it. And I'll do that. I'll also include like extra sets of cards. Also, this is NILO gives you a list of every official on there. Same thing, you can print out. Or keep a phone. A lot of guys keep a little book of everyone's phone number that they work with, so that they can it's sort of a black book. Of referees in case they need to contact them the old-fashioned way. A lot of stuff is done on your phone, and I do a lot of stuff on my phone too. But the service doesn't work, arbiter doesn't work. It just depends. It's good to have it on paper so you can have that ready to go. Instead of there's $2. See, I just keep it all in here. Other things you might need, keep it in a bag though. Gasoline. I don't think I can explain what this is for. Okay, if you do a lot of games sometimes, it's really hot. You get a lot of chafing. So if you don't have this, it's going to be burning really bad. Okay. And then also you need sunscreen. Always keep an extra thing of sunscreen when you get there. Like to keep that in my bag, as well as every time, like when I started off, I first had these referee, I don't even know where I got these. These are kind of like rating pins, you kind of throw them on over. I always keep these in because, you never know when it's raining, I can just throw them. They've got little zippers on the bottom, so you can throw them over your pants in case it starts raining during the game. You're like, oh my gosh, I really need to not have to be in the rain right now. Awesome. Yeah, isn't that great? No. Anyway, that'd be a perfect opportunity for me to talk about.
Turn off the microphone.
Sorry. Wow. Okay, so that was the perfect time. They show you that they have actually this little plastic thing that goes over it. It fits on it perfectly. It's called, I forget, it's like a stock guard or something. I don't know where they got it. It's probably in the stores. It's probably like $1.30 or something. And yeah. Okay. And it's like this little like foam piece you put over it. You can make your own, of course, but foam piece that goes over it keeps that from happening. I wish I had someone sell them to you. The other thing you might need is eventually you want an extra whistle. I use the one around the neck, and I just keep it and I put it underneath my shirt during the game so that if something happens, my whistle breaks, it falls off, I lose it in the middle of play. I'm not standing there just going like this, waving my hands like to stop. I can just pull it out and then blow the whistle, even if it's late.
Some guys like to use that for face-offs. So they're not having to move their hands up to the back of the thing. You can just put them there and say, down set. Okay.
Also, I keep my flipping coin in there, and I'll keep extra quarters or $50 if I can find one, and not spend it like in the extra one as well. Let's see. Also, you want probably some black tape to wrap around your flags on the ends in case tape comes off. Also, a lot of guys put fluorescent color tape, like pink tape. Now, why would you want pink tape? Face-offs. Okay, it's kind of it's called preventative officiating. We don't want to look for stuff. Okay, so we have somebody who has they need on their stick they need.
Rule changes.
Oh, you're right.
It doesn't have to be 6 inches, but there still has to be a different color.
In case it's not a contrasting color for somebody, you got a black shaft with a black head. You need a contrasting color, so I get pink. One to like embarrass them a little bit if they want to borrow it, but the other is you can provide that to the coach. Say, hey, these kids need tape. The coach doesn't have it. Like, look, I got some tape. Make a little get some political capital there with the coach a little bit beforehand. I got some tape, and then just before you're about to give it, you're like, it's $10 an inch, and offer it, and they laugh every time, but not really. Anyway, so you can have that tape with you, and be the guy that you are, and to provide help to them. Other thing I like to use are these little. If you have these with you, these are little cards. These cards have the list of the game. Rather than having to erase it in between games, you can just clip this onto your card, your hard shell card, like we have here. Okay, and then clip that on there, and then that way it's a record. You don't have to erase it. If something happens in that game, you need to record it. You've got something to record it on, so that they can, if you need to report it later. Also, we have some other ones that have that information on the back, so you can put ejections, things like that. Also, a good trick of the trade is to write down something that you learned in that game or something that you want to improve on. So that when you come by, I like to take them and I'll put them in the little section in the middle of my car, and I'll put it there. And next time, before I get out for the next game, sometimes, not very often, but I'd love to get them out and then look through, what I learned in the last game that I I played these guys, I was here last week, what happened last week, I need to look at anything, and I make a little notes myself on that. Also, you want to keep an extra watch on there, because there's always especially tournament games where you need to keep time. It's always good to have your own. And then lastly, this one I just started doing. I always buy, every couple of years I'll buy new sunglasses and I'll buy nice ones. Like these ones are hopefully the ones all black. And because of that, I like to have, you need the, because I learned with all these, you have to have like the special thing it comes with to wipe it. Otherwise, if you use your shirt, it scratches it. Okay, so you need one of those inside there. And then I bought one of these. This one I got for $20, I think it was like a couple dollars. And it's a hard shell case. So I just keep it in a hard shell case and I put it in the bag and then I have different glasses to dry. One, my face, like my ears need a break, whatever, it always hurts. It's always good to change sunglasses. The other is I always have the sunglasses when I get to the game. And so when I pull out my card, grab my bag out of the back, I'll take this down to the field to put my phone in as well. So I have close. I've got sunglasses, I've got sunscreen, I've got everything that I need. And if I forget this bag for some reason, or I lock it in the car like I did one time, I have an extra one in the other part of the car with somebody else or at home if I can get to that home faster to grab it. Also, the other thing you want to keep the extra stuff for, not just for yourself. If you've ever been to a game and your partner doesn't have anything, they've got that ghostly look on their face like, oh my gosh, I left everything at home and I live 2 hours away. It's never happened to you. All right, make sure you have these extra pair so at least you can offer it to them and hopefully they're your size. The other thing is I keep my shoes. I'll change the shoes every year because I just, maybe you do every 2 years, but I change it every year because I do so many games. And I'll keep my last year's pair in there, and then I'll get rid of the other pair I had before every year. Okay, so we're recycling. Also, you have an extra pair of shoes in case your partner doesn't, and then hopefully you're the same size as you. Those are a bunch of different things. So why is this? So now, I spent a lot of time. I should have been more short. It's supposed to be 3 minutes. It's supposed to time me. So in all this, why do I keep recycling gear? One, it's a great way to save money. Two, it keeps you prepared. And three, it helps you avoid those situations where you don't have something and you don't, it sucks. Like you don't have your belt, you don't have shoes or whatever. And it's embarrassing wearing loafers out in the field or somebody wore sandals this year. Yeah, that was exciting. Okay. Any questions on this before we move on? And you can talk to me at the break or afterwards, just send me an email if you can do something later. All right, so let's, speaking of that, let's talk about the gear that you're going to need for this year. Go ahead and do just a second. So the gear that a lot of people have been asking, like, how do I order the gear? What do I do? There's a lot of different things you can do, but let's see if I can put this over here. All right. That's weird. Doesn't matter. All right, so let's have the capture. Okay, so sorry about that. So I'm trying to see if I can get, you guys can see it over here. Anyway, so on our website, under apparel, okay, these are the things that you can order for this year. Some of it is just for fun, some of it is stuff that you'll need. Just not sure why it show up. Anyway. All right. Sorry, you guys, watching online can't see it. Figure out how to do it in a second. All right. So Anyway, and on the order form that we sent to you, or there's a link to it here. And at the bottom, it has the directions on what you need to do. So basically, you just go through and you fill out the Excel sheet, and then it should total it for you.
It does.
Okay.
It does the taxes. Just gives you a total due.
And then,
Just follow the steps. I paid online. You can send them a check. Or cash, but I don't know when that's gonna show up here. I think weren't the orders on this thing, didn't it say that we're supposed to be in by tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
interesting. Alright, so, I can't see this.
Can't see what.
No, I'll let you this weird cursor all over it. It's ridiculous. Okay. There's just too much going on. Maybe I can change this to. So, nope. Alright, I apologize. Oh, you watching this online, you'll just have to listen. Okay, so, all right, so on the order form you go through at the bottom, so you'll type in whatever. Say what size you want, large, and then 2. Okay, automatically calculates for you, gives you the taxes, the fees. You take that total due, and then you save it with your name on the file, send it to Matt Holland at emwlacrosse.com, or Matt at emwlacrosse.com, instead of these directions. And then you can either bring cash to the meeting, I guess, who's going to collect it, but, and then to East meets West Lacrosse. You can make checks payable to, or you can pay for it all online using the link right here to PayPal.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can PayPal or regular debit credit card.
If you have
Just credit card.
any questions for the group right now?
Sean, you want to go over what it's like? Mandatory.
Oh, yes, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mandatory uniform items.
So if you're a brand new official, what you need from this, the only mandatory thing you would need is you don't need to get the jacket. The jacket, you can if you want.
There's really nothing mandatory on there.
Except for, well, if they
Because the
do.
only SOCALOA striped shirt is the purple
Well, you can buy the whistle
one.
and the black ball, the yellow and black penalty flags.
Yeah.
The municipal game card, you need to buy that. We're gonna give you one. And then,
Do they need a regular t-shirt for like tournaments?
yeah.
They have that purple.
But that purple one is not the tournament t-shirt, is it?
Which one?
The purple one, the very first one.
I'm gonna put up the expectations one. When I go to the expectations, there's a picture of it, so I'll show you all here exactly. Okay, so that's ordering gear. Let me jump over to the expectations of an official, a SOCALOA official. Alright, so here we go. Sorry about that. to go with it. Sorry, I did adjusting on people's stuff. Okay. All right. So what does it mean to be a SOCALOA official? Here's our expectations for the year. Here's what we're going to do for you. We're going to provide good, professional, knowledgeable officials to the lacrosse community. For enhance the quality of our officials through the adoption of the certification, be an integral part of the growth of the game in Southern California. Know the game, grow the game is our motto. This is how we do it. We have certification for 1, 2, and 3. Also recertification every year, so you really go through classes just so that I do it every year. It's continuous. It's a great model for life. We're always learning, right? Program includes, we got classroom training, field work, we have an online test that you need to take if you're a new member, there's something called the new member exam, and we do that to make you read through the handbook. Everybody read through pages 1 through 20 like you're supposed to. Okay, just being honest. Alright, make sure you're reading through the handbook. We spend a lot of time, it's 70 pages long, it seems like a lot, but we read just a couple a week, a couple dozen a week. You get through it. We went over this a little bit last week, but just a reminder, there's the ground rules, there's no texting, put away your phones. If you need to answer a text or if you need to talk on the phone, obviously just go step outside, it's fine. Make sure we're staying on the subject, don't be afraid to ask questions, because we're here to answer and help. Classroom training will cover key rules and mechanics, and this can only be done inside the class, but also outside of the class. It's important that you're also doing your continuous learning. There's a lot of activities to do, there's homework, things like that. We send you an email. Also make sure you're reading your emails, that you get them, they don't go to spam. Or you're just saying they do. Okay. Field training evaluations, they're conducted as part of the certification process. Basically what happens is you go and you do a game and you work it for free and your fee goes to the person that's the observer that's there. They give you on-field feedback as well as they write it up. Put it in your files and send it to you, both your digital and in-person files. In that, they'll give you recommendations, give you things that you need to learn, and then also ways to get better and go on to the next level. The reason you want to go on to the next level, like we talked about last week, is the higher you are ranked, the higher level games you can do, the more games that are available to you. We have a committee of trained officials. They're trained by Lacrosse every year, and they're recertified every year. So they have continuous training, just like you go to continuous training. Then ratings committee will assign a rating to each official every year. It's used by the assigner to help you assign the games to you. That way we know we have the right people in the right place for each game. We have an online rules test you got to take through the US Lacrosse website. Passing rate is 8% for level 1, so brand new people, but after that we expect 90% or better. I think, is the high school 100 or 50 questions now? 100. It's 100, right? It's a lot of questions. So you can only miss 10. And then there's a lot. It takes forever to do it. It takes a couple hours. It is open book. It is 50 questions. Also, there's a way to do it on Arbiter, where they have the online version of the textbook or of the rule book, and you can actually word search and keyword search certain things so you're not thumbing through it, which is also a good thing too, if you need to do it that way. So this needs to change. It's actually 100 questions. It's taken after the completion of the 3rd or 4th classroom session. That's about time. I think it'll be ready in, usually it's December, because they've heard it different. Okay. Okay. So it's going to decide to flip and not flip. Or just not work at all. All officials need an Arbiter Sports. You'll need an Arbiter account. Once you pay your dues and your fees, then we'll send you an invite to that. And make sure that actually it doesn't really matter anymore, but make sure it's that email that you're always using for your Arbiter. If you already have an Arbiter account for those sports that you do, use that same email for all our correspondence. Make sure you're always using your Arbiter account. It'll send you an email or a text alert if you turn it on to tell you we have an assignment. So go in and accept or decline. And you shouldn't be declining because you should be ahead of time setting your blocks so you don't get assigned a game when you're blocked. Sharing is highly recommended if you have more than one association linked to your account. That helps our assigner see where you are, like where you're doing games, if you're doing basketball games in one part of town and he needs people in that area, then you might be able to get throw you some games after your other sport. So that since you're in the area, it'll be easier for them to coordinate and do that. And also, they know if you're way out of town, we're not going to assign you games in town because we're off doing something else. You're too far away. Also, make sure your personal information is up to date, especially your street address, which is used for mileage calculations. Also, actually, we don't need to send checks to you because, like I said before, all the money goes to Arbiter, so we don't actually give you any money from. You won't get a check from SOCALOA. You'll get either a check from the school or the place that you worked at, or you'll get a check from, you'll get an Arbiter Pay, into your Arbiter Pay account electronically. All right, here's what you need as a new official. You'll need like the shoes that I showed you, the new black shoes. These are New Balance. I used these for a really long time. They're just the regular ones. I used to get them at Dick, actually Sports Authority used to always have them on sale in like January or February. That's when I used to buy them. Obviously, they don't exist anymore. I tried to go to Dick's, but they're always, you can find them online for usually cheaper. You don't see them ever on sale at that store. I don't know why. But you'll find that all black shoes are becoming not only popular, you're giving them pretty much all different brands. Figure out what you like better. If you're an ASICS guy, then use ASICS. If you're Adidas, Nike, whatever, find some that are all black. They gotta be all black. They can't have like a white swoosh on them or anything like that. You can use Under Armour if you want to go to the outlets in orange or whatever. If you would, that's a great place to grab the shorts. My favorite shorts are the Under Armour shorts. You can get them usually for like 40% off any day of the week at the Under Armour outlet. And used to be called the Block, now it's called the Outlets in Orange. Over there on the City Drive. Let's see. All officials need to wear the same uniform. So for youth, you'll need the 1-inch stripe. This is the same one as football. So if you play or if you're a football referee. It's the same one. We'll get you the patches, this patch for it. The American flag one, I think is already on. Like this is the flag, the American flag on there too. So it just depends. Also, a lot of footballs with a 2-inch stripe now, right? Okay, so if you have small 1/4 stripes, it works just fine. You'll also need a black belt. Doesn't matter what brand. If anyone, that could be a whole rough hack, I think. For a whole session on that. Just finding the right belt. I cannot find the right belt ever. I'm always trying to do belts. Then we will give you, do you know when we're getting that?
That's there.
So hopefully by next session. Before, here's a hat. Here's our association hat. I think we decided this one was for youth, right? Did we use this for youth last year? Okay. So this hat, you'll need to have this one. You don't have to get this one right away, but you'll need this for the time when your partner doesn't have this association hat. You gotta wear the same hat, so that's why I put both in my bag. Also, all the other associations use this one. It's the same as it's a football hat. It's the same one, and make sure you need one of these in your bag. Especially if you're working more than one association here or LA or in San Diego, they use that as well. Let's see, you can use long or short sleeve, but you both have to be wearing the same thing. So maybe the first year you get short sleeve, the next year you get a long sleeve. Let's see, pinstripe hat, shorts, black hat, black shorts, all black shoes, all black jacket. We have the SOCALOA jacket that you can order. It's a pretty good deal. It's rain proof, which is what we were going for. Our old one used to take in the rain. It was like worse wearing it than it was. And then all black pants for cold and fluid weather. Again, the Under Armour is selling some good golf pants. It's the same. It looks just like shorts, obviously, but they're longer. And you can get all black ones there. That's a good buy. It's, you know, it's one of that cotton polyester blend or whatever. It's a little stretchy, a little loose fitting, so it's easy to run. Also, if you get basketball, it's the same pants. The ones you get at home next to basketball ones. They're polyester, so they kind of are weird, but it's, you know, you may want it in cold weather. You never know. Keep that in your bag.
Socks.
I didn't talk about socks today. So the black socks, this guy doesn't look like he's wearing socks. We wear the quarter cut socks, the ones from Nike. You got them on? Good for you. Or Pete has this, if you want to see them later. You know you have the right pair because they sew in an L and an R on them, and orange, so that's how I know if it's the right brand.
That's because the right one only has a swoop on the outside, not on the inside. It's only one swoop on each hand.
Yeah, so if you want to embarrass someone, you can notice by the way they're wearing both. Point out to them, I guess. But yeah, if you want to know more about the socks, we can tell you and show you. You can take out the shoe. But that's one of the things I keep is in the room's bag is one of my. Once the socks get to the point where it's like they're probably gonna not last much longer, yeah, a little gray, I'll put them in here in my emergency, my break, you know, in case of emergency, and do that. Because that's the other thing. The most common thing is the belt and the socks, the stuff you show up without. Like, I did that once, and one day I was wearing dress socks that were black, so I didn't know that. That was embarrassing. Okay, the whistle, we use the Fox sorting whistle. The finger one is the one that we use. That's the best for lacrosse. I don't know what you guys use in other sports. I know a lot of basketball guys will do that thing where they wrap it around their hand a bunch of times and like cuts off circulation. I don't particularly like that myself. That's why we use the finger grip whistle. It's like $10 or $90. You can get it with or without this little guard thing. Bike grip. I would say get bike grip. Sometimes.
It's softer than the hard plastic if you let it bite on the whistle.
Right, which is helpful when you do face-off, because you have to have both hands for the face-off. But I know a lot of people also who use this whistle for the face-off, so it's whatever you want to do. You can do 2 whistles, 1. I do recommend you this one though. Let's see, you need your 20-second timer. It's just part of the mechanics that you'll be learning about for clears. We'll talk more about that later. You need a pencil for the scorecard. You can buy them at home, they're like $1. When you get your order, you usually add them in. I usually get a little mechanical pencil. Just like that better. You need a wristwatch, penalty flags, tape measure up to 72. It doesn't have to go up to 72. Why would it say 72? 72 inches. That's 6 feet, right? That's how the shortest the long stick can be. But please don't pull out a long stick and measure a long stick. Just stand up to it and know, like, hey, look, it's taller than me. Like, it's good. You shouldn't ever have to measure a long stick. Also, make sure you got a coin. If you have a $50, you know, not too special a coin, you might lose it, but make sure you have that in your bag and it doesn't. Because a lot of times you leave it in there and it gets washed with your stuff and it gets lost in the laundry machine. Equipment bag, like we talked about before. I recommend this one for the field, and then a bigger bag for all of your stuff in case you have to change cars. You know, if you have a family of 2 cars and you got to move over, it's always good to have it portable ready to go.
Hey, before you go on, the 20-second timer, They sell a 20-second and 100-second timer, and the price difference is very small. I recommend getting that one because that 100-second timer is what you can use to time your timeouts. Okay, you hit 100 second, and then a minute and 40 seconds later it goes off, which tells you they have 20 seconds. That's when you blow the whistle. They got 20 seconds to get back on the field. So, you know, you don't have to keep doing 20 seconds, figure out when 100 seconds expire.
Yeah, the ones that you can, as demonstrated earlier, here, yeah, if you flip it forward, it's 20 seconds, flip it back, it's 100 seconds. This one is the ZebraWare timer. Just look it up, ZebraWare on Google. Timer, they invented the first one that does 20 and 100 seconds. And it's 100 seconds because when someone calls a timer, you click that one, and that's a minute 40. And then as soon as that goes off, you blow your whistle to get the teams out of the field, and then you click it forward to do the 20 seconds, and if they're not ready, and it's a game penalty. So that's the thing on that. This one, a lot of people it breaks, a little piece breaks off, thing like that. The good thing with ZebraWare though, is you can send an email to them and say that it broke, and then they'll send you a replacement piece for, I don't know, I think it's like a couple dollars, you have to ship it, so it's like $8 or $9. And they'll send you a replacement clip. Because otherwise, I see people with like pieces of duct tape around it, or like a rubber band. This rubber band stuff, a little zip to the type. Don't do that. Just get their replacement thing. You don't have to spend a whole $60, $70 when you use it the first time. I recommend that one because they offer that.
You said you would for shoulder patch, American flag patch.
The American flag patch, you can buy, when you buy the shirt, you can actually buy it with it on.
Okay.
And then we'll give you this one when you're certified.
Okay.
US Lacrosse official one.
Yeah, when you're buying the shirt, there's several different sources, and some of them even have the American flag sublimated. It's actually part of the material, it's not a song.
Yeah.
Actually there.
Oh, you can also get US Lacrosse ones too.
Yeah.
They have it on there through Smitty, I think.
If you have any questions, just call somebody.
Also, you want to get the flag that has silver or white. You don't want to get the yellow one. You want to have a couple.
Gold.
Yeah, the one with the gold around it. I think I have one. Yeah, because unofficially, I don't know, I've never heard this, I've heard different things, but apparently this is the one you wear if you're a veteran. I've heard people say that. I've never had anyone come up to me and like, I never had a veteran come up and tear it off, whatever, but
I don't think anybody.
I just with that knowledge, I always try to get silver and white one, if possible. If you don't get yellow, claim
Hey,
it.
golden color, not silver.
Couple of things about communication. The referee is the one who contacts the school. These are more for high school games, not so much like youth games, but because youth games are really all in one place, so you don't have school to call. It's like different teams. But if you were doing a high school game or certain tournament games, depending on the location, the referee is the one who contacts school or the 48 hours before. But however, if you have any umpire or field judge, it's your job to check in with crew chief 48 to 24 hours before game time. Okay, so a day or two before the game, you gotta make sure you're like, hey, just checking in. What's the plan for tomorrow? Even if you don't think there's gonna be a plan, just ask them. Okay, they might be like, oh yeah, we're meeting in the parking lot, on the east parking lot, at 30 minutes before us. And then we'll walk over and, certify the coaches or something like that. So this is something that I want to make consistent on Southern California, but also as you move up on ranks and the highest levels that we have at college level, that's what they do. It's also something they do in San Diego. For the same reason they do it, we're going to get us ready for the next level up. Referee will then confirm with crew, include pre-game meeting time and location, confirm each other's cell phone numbers. You put that in the black book of yours. Our program into your phone. That way you don't need Wi-Fi to use it. Okay, immediately 30 minutes prior to the game, referee shall conduct pre-game conference. Crews need to be on the field 30 minutes before each game time, so you're basically getting out, talking over. Inspect the field for compliance, meet certified coaches, confirm with home coach. You want to make sure that there's a working horn, clock, and table personnel, especially during youth games. Usually they're all in a row. You guys show up early, there's probably a game going on. Make sure they have all this stuff before you get out there. Ask the table, hey, do you have a word, do you have this stuff? So you guys are ready once the game starts, usually like 5 minutes before between games. Also, you can deal with the field issues you see and talk about payments if you need to. Sometimes, especially if you go to school, sometimes they have to pay you either by check or by, hopefully, online.
There's a level one training, right? That's and you say, meet and certify coaches. You're not really certifying coaches, okay? You're certifying with the coaches that their team meet all the requirements, including all of their equipment is up to snuff and good to go, that sort of thing. So you're not doing anything personally to the coach. You're getting him certified, he's red flag. Okay, so that's what that means.
So you're suggesting with right here?
Actually, it's a meet with coaches to certify team is ready for the games. Safely, all our safety and all that stuff. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
And both officials are really important. You want to be a team when you're going up to these coaches and saying, it's not fly-by-night stuff. Your officials want to be the official.
Okay, so it's referees that they're in charge of that, but that's something that you know what they're going to do with you.
Yeah,
so that's what we're talking about it. So they're going to take the lead on that, but every referee is a little different. They're there for a reason, they're there to help you, so if you have questions, ask and bring their attention. Alright, you go for stick checks, casual expect forms for compliance, referee will brief table personnel on what to do. We'll call captains, the coin toss the team in a 5 minute till. Make sure you have no long speech to captains with teams during your lineup. If the referee says, do you have anything to say to you as the umpire, what do you say? No. No, sir. Okay, it's not even time like, I'm so glad you asked. Guys, I've been trying to say this. Like, no, just hold on to, while you're there, you're observing and think about what you want to say when you're moving from a referee.
Stay fair and fun.
Keep it fair, fun, and safe, control the chaos. This game is the most important game of the day for all the people there, so let's make sure we go there with that mindset. The thing about, because I've been all of them, parent, referee, and coach, so I have all those different perspectives, and I know it's a little hard for some coaches when a referee comes, just a couple minutes before the game time, and they don't seem really invested, looking on their phone or watch a lot or whatever during the game, and it's like, you're the one who can get the most you do that. Yeah, those are getting paid, but by hour or by minute, you're getting paid the most you do that. Okay, you have the most responsibility in that game. Well, I should probably share coaches, but you have a lot of responsibility in games. It's an earned pay, but make sure that you're earning it every time you're out there. And don't lose sight of that. So officiating with that, and be polite, civil with players and coaches. Give the head coaches a chance to be heard, but you don't have to give that same assistance. You can. But that's something that, it's a privilege, not a right. The assistants, the coaches, they have a little more say in everything. Plus, you don't want 12 people in the program yelling at you. You just want one. So you can focus on that one. Okay, well, two, one for each team. But make the coach understand that. Okay, don't admit unacceptable behavior from any participants or spectators or learn to use the ladder they take control. So we'll talk about ladders. A ladder is aggression, where you penalize the team minimally, and then to the maximum you can, as you step up on the progressive system, is what we call house schools. Alright, after the game, game's over, exit the field as soon as possible. I know a lot of you are they part of the game, or you might be on teams, or coaches, or players. It's best not to fraternize in uniform during the game. Anything more than like, hey, congratulations, great job, then kind of head out of there. You're in uniform. After you get off the field, also, take off your uniform, especially in the car. You never know what happens in the car. And you're representing not only us, but also yourself, but also the profession as a whole. And it doesn't look good when something happens outside of the field, guys wear the referee shirt, during a domestic dispute or whatever, and that's what their picture is on, bar fight, whatever. Even get across the parking lot by some parent or whatever, it's best to not have that stuff on. So your mugshot picture, I got SOCALOA in our hat or whatever. And then that's also not going to buy a bunch of beers or party afterwards wearing a jersey and kids see or whatever. So be aware of that. Get off the field as quickly as possible. Leave us through. Don't leave it behind. Avoid conversations with coach, players, or spectators. Even if they come in, walking in with like a video camera or whatever, just leave as quickly as possible. You don't have to answer questions. What do you do, Daniel, if someone's exactly with a video camera?
Say, Mr. Coach, come take care of this meeting.
And get the parent off the back. That happened last week, tell you about it. I'll tell you later in school after we stop recording. Okay. Referee completes the game report when the arbiter. The referee is also responsible. Usually you have to have a score, especially for the youth games. Part of our contract, the youth games, we help them keep scores of the games so they know who won and lost. And so we need to keep an accurate record of that. That's why we also you buy these sort of things you have them, and because especially if you do games, you do like 2 or 3 in a row. If the keys all look the same, they find out there's only really 4 teams. They're just like different age levels. And then they've got A and B, that one, and you look like the same players, like the same. Exactly. So it's all melt together. So you need to make sure that keep a record of it for when you're referee, you put that on. Let's see. And if there happens to be a sportsmanlike objection report, that's done by the referee as well.
Wait, sportsmanlike?
Yeah, sportsmanlike.
For sportsmanlike penalty.
Yep, in high school, you put one more over.
You do it.
Oh, that's just your game report.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
Just note it. It's not. Okay. File unsportsmanlike and game score, and then. Do you want to write this?
No.
Yeah. And objection reports. All right. So, and then all objection reports for the CIF, we'll go over that. You guys will on that. Okay, now after 4. That's it. Okay. So it's break time. We're going to have a break, and then we're going to talk about, we're going to go over some mechanics, we'll watch some videos. We'll take, 12 minutes, so we'll be done by 7:15. We'll be back, ready to go. You guys at home, you guys can probably take a break for sure. Go ahead. Take a break also, make sure you also keep notes, make some notes on there. I will put up. At the end of the session, I'll have the exit survey report. I'll talk that up. But right now, go enjoy the bathrooms right around the corner for those who are here. Get some water if you need to, and then we'll be back to some PP.
friend has been accessing thing for cross country.
Okay.
AJ. Swipe.
Switzer?
Yeah.
Isn't it SWI?
Yeah.
No.
No, yeah, it's SWI.
Yeah, just say,
Can I check this school program?
People are watching. Maybe those are all
Hey, Jason, I have your shirts. Don't forget.
They do so those. Well, no, so originally you'll be all right.
Pretty round,
Especially, I mean, this is last year, more married. So this year, this is
Yeah. Okay. But you didn't send it.
Right?
Because otherwise, because it's not like it's
But add it up.
right, but like.
Not on the sheet.
Yeah.
It was like
Just
click, add parts.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Now I don't know.
Just I didn't know you could do that.
Alright, you guys want the game card, I have those over here.
Hello. All right. For those of you who don't know, my name is Rapper. I'm a high school center here for SOCALOA. I'm a certified trainer and observer. So here we are talking about what is that title, Sean? This is new initial overviews, mechanics and stuff that we're going to talk about. What our expectations are, how we want to speak like an official. We're going to try and go over the personal technicals, and then we're going to talk about the slow whistle technique. Expectations. So always for everybody's safety, and then we all obviously want to enforce rules in a way that is fair. That's our main objective. But safety first, always. Here we go. So professional officials, confidence, communication, compassion, consistency, confidence, conviction, a lot of C's, courage. Anybody think of anything else? Maybe it doesn't work on screen. It'd be kind of hard to start with C. That should be a good challenge. That'd be a good question. Anyway, a lot of good traits, but a lot of this too, I think, when you first start, since it's kind of level 1 training, a lot of this is not just going to show up for you when you walk out on the field. It's going to take a good number of games, a lot of experience. So I don't want you to think you're going to walk out there and boom, this is what you're going to be able to do on day one, but this is a great list to aspire to. So keep this as goals, what you're trying to eventually come up. All right, terminology. So major areas of the field. So this is the goal in the attack area right here. These are considered the alleys, so both sides of the goal in the attack area. The wing area would be the middle part of the field, and then this is where players are positioned when we're getting ready to face off if you're not in the center and one of the face-off guys. So there's center X, that's where we conduct all the face-offs. The crease, that's the circle. The line is representative of the circle around the last crease. Let's see. The bench area, so always going to have both teams on the same sides of the field, separated by this area, which we're going to talk about next. Penalty and sub box. And then we have coach's box. So technically, the benches they say are kind of behind the coach box in reality that kind of blends in a little bit. We kind of do rookie things to try and separate people. As long as they stay out of the penalty in the sub box, you guys are good. And they gotta stay off the field. All right. Any questions about the major areas field? How many people who have lacrosse experience? Then how many people have no lacrosse experience? Nice. So John, you did the team last year. You won't tell anybody. So you never played. Okay. No worries. We'll get you taught up though. All right. Oh, am I out of the screen? Here we go. Hey, everybody online? All right. Now, there we go. So, more mechanics and concepts and terminology. So, we have the lead official and the trail official. The lead official is always going to be the guy who is in front of play. And his biggest job, and this is something you definitely should remember, is always got to be the guy that gets to the goal line. The goal line is the most important thing for the lead official. So, when you're running out on the field and you're in the middle of play, if you are the lead official, you got to get to the goal line. That's the most important thing. The most important thing for the trail is that you're always watching what happens after the ball is shot. That's the most important thing. So if there were the two things that could summarize these two positions best, lead is the goal line, and then trail official is always watching after the ball is shot or anything that's a late hit. So those are the easiest ways to describe the two positions. Face-off official is always the guy who is conducting face-off. Mechanics over the last few years kind of changed, especially in college where you have two guys who conduct face-off. There's still one guy with the ball, but there's two. And then you do mechanics. Sometimes we talk about having a second official pinch in to help watch. But generally in high school, especially in two-man, there's really only one face-off official. Then what's the other guy doing? The other guys, if you're in a main group, they're out by the wings. They're making sure that those players who are not participating in face-off, but they're in the middle part of the field, they stay behind those restraining lines until the whistle blows. All right, here we go. The on-official and off-official. So the on-official is the one who is watching play where the ball is on the field. I think we get a diagram, right, Sean, where it kind of cuts into triangles. Do we eventually get that? Yeah. Okay. So the on-official is the one who's watching play where the ball is. But you don't want both officials watching that area of field at the same time. Especially in more competitive games, there's a lot of contact and things that occur off the ball and away from the ball, and then those situations still have to be officiated and managed. So the off official is the one who's watching the part of the field where the ball is not. And again, we're going to get a diagram, so it's a little easier to explain that thing. The principle of advantage, disadvantage. That's a crazy acronym.
Never seen that.
Me neither. So a lot of the decision-making process for us as officials hinges on whether or not a player is put at a disadvantage, or if the player who potentially is committing an infraction has gained some sort of unfair advantage. So when we're looking at things, there's going to be times where maybe there could be a technical violation, and I don't want to, maybe that's the wrong word. Maybe it's more of like a trifling type of situation where something has maybe gone right up to the line of what's legal and illegal, and maybe the thing that pushes you over the edge one way or the other is whether or not there was advantage, disadvantage. There's other parts of this when we talk about that anytime a player's safety is put into jeopardy, you'd probably be more likely to penalize or blow a whistle. Does that make sense? So when we look at when we have to make a decision or not, a lot of times it's based on advantage, disadvantage. But that's just one of the criteria. Does that work? Sean, I'm going to click something. There we go, play on. So we kind of have a play on that is similar to other sports, but essentially if a team can continue with the ball, if it was loose and they can just pick it up and keep going, great, we're not going to blow the whistle. There's another time where it's more like the hockey delayed penalty, where we've got a more serious foul that's occurred, regardless of whether the ball was loose or not. We're going to throw a flag. But if that team has possession and is still going, it's a delayed penalty, and we'll come back and penalize later if we have to. So we do have a concept of play on and kind of a delayed penalty. We'll talk about that. related is that flag down slow whistle where we're going to let play finish and then we'll figure out what the penalty is after the play is concluded. Get it in, keep it in. This is when we have stalling. Sometimes it's a mandatory situation, other times it's a discretionary thing. So we'll get more into that later, but this is our way of kind of avoiding time wasting. Even though the ball kind of remains in play, we just confine the attacking team into that goal attack area. Counts, this has changed too. We used to have to count all the time when the team moved in and out of the box. Now it's just the first time that they cross over the halfway line with possession, they've got to get it in once. And once they touch the box, then the counting is done. But they do have 20 seconds to get it to the halfway line. You want me to really stay on this side, don't you? But now I feel like I'm in front of the screen. So 20 seconds to get over the midline and then 10 seconds to get it initially into the box. You've got counts on how quickly the ball needs to restart play. You have a count on how long it takes for the goalie to release the ball from his possession in the crease. So we'll cover those as well. Lead and trail responsibility. So we talked about this. So the lead is always needs to get to goal line extended. This is maybe not the best one. It's probably better to put them down here because in two-man, which is the primary thing you're going to see, you would actually be down here. You wouldn't be on the other side. You'd only be on the other side if that was three-man.
Yeah, they said that inverted field.
What's that?
What? It's an inverted field.
I'm sorry. Say what are you doing?
So last week.
Clearly,
Last
I'm
week.
not up to date.
Right, where you're out of town. One of the things they talked about was changing the mechanic. There's lots of different reasons. We played a wonderful video without sound on it, and that was one of the things they mentioned is you're running left now for two-man mechanics.
Never mind. This is a great slide. That's where you're supposed to be.
After 100 years of doing it this way down.
It wasn't broke, but we still needed to fix it. All right. So again, this is going to be real fun if you work with me for my first game of the season. I'm going to be really backwards. So the lead now, they're on the opposite side for two-man mechanics. But again, you'll notice the positioning is really important. He's always got to get it to the goal line. And we use the term goal line extended or GLE. So that is represented in the fact that this whole line right here is just where the lead needs to be. And as play happens, you actually will stay on this kind of imaginary line, but you'll yo-yo. You'll kind of go in and out as necessary. So if guys are crashing in front of the crease, then you need to be moving towards the crease. But if play comes at you, then you would be backpedaling back towards the boundary line, but then come back in when you need to. So you're not just standing right here. You're always moving back and forth along GLE, but you got to get there first. So that's the lead. The trail. So the trail is usually positioned a few yards outside of this area. We don't necessarily want this guy to be a statue either, because he also needs to kind of move, and a lot of officiating is about angles. And with players that are always crossing in front of you and each other, you kind of always need to be thinking, how am I going to get the best view of a play? So as much as it's probably not as critical for him to be moving as much as the lead, you're not a statue, and you need to move as necessary to get the best view. Again, his major responsibility, if it'll click, Sean, maybe. The shooter. So again, anytime that there's a shot, you're always watching the shooter, making sure that there isn't anything late or illegal that's being done by the defenders. Let's see. So far goal and over and back. I think the far goal thing refers to the fact that you've got to turn and run. So we can do this on the field, but at some point, your responsibility as the lead, for example, is this boundary line in two-man, and then you also have the goal line. So then, in this case, the trail has this sideline, but then when you have any sort of turnover and fast break the other way, he's now the new lead. And so when we say far goal, that means you got to hustle and get to GLE on the opposite end of the field if we've got this turnover situation. You also have the over and back call. So again, for credibility, this is why he can't be a statue. If the ball is coming back this way, the trail needs to get to the halfway line. That way he has the best look at whether or not we've got an over and back situation. All right? So this was the diagram I was looking for earlier. This is the concept of on and off. So at this point, the ball, you know, is on this side of this imaginary line, kind of dividing this into a triangle. The trail right here is going to be on ball, right? And so the lead is now watching all of this stuff. The lead does not need to be watching the ball carrier here. That does us no good. You're going to miss a bunch of this stuff. And then at the same time, now I think they're going to move the ball here. So now the trail needs to be aware of what's going on off ball, and the lead is now watching the ball carrier. So we constantly are kind of changing, even though the same team has possession, the referee's responsibilities or the official's responsibilities are changing as they're passing the ball and moving the ball around. So again, we're going to watch some of this movement here. So again, I would say the lead is still on ball here, and the trail is still off ball. Trail will be watching over here, lead's got the ball carrier. Now, when everybody crashes, this could be interesting, just since we're talking about it. The ball is here, and this guy is the shooter. Now the problem is the trail has some responsibility if he's the shooter shooting from here. And what the lead needs to be watching for is anything that's happening around the crease. So you're looking for crease violations and that type of thing. But I could make the case that the lead, probably because he's standing right here, he actually may have a little chance at catching something that happens to the shooter. But again, the trail is still always the shooter, and then the lead is always the goal line and the crease. All right? I think there's a video, Sean. Hit that for us.
In this video, we're taking a look at the lead and trail official and their responsibilities. So you'll notice the trail official in the lower left-hand side of your screen and the lead official in about the middle of your screen during settled play. So let's talk about the trail official as the ball moves around the field. Right now, he's just a little lower than the wing line, and he's in what's known as the 5x5 square, just about 5 yards above the box, 5 yards in to the field or 5 yards outside the field, using the wing line as a reference point. And the trail official...
We're Rhett and Link, and we wanted to show you...
Let's suppose that you're...
We're Rhett and Link, and we wanted to show...
We're about to get some life hacks. We had rev hacks earlier, now we're going to talk about life hacks.
So... where the heck am I? Sorry.
In this video, we're taking a look at the lead and trail official and their responsibilities. So you'll notice the trail official in the lower left-hand side of your screen and the lead official in about the middle of your screen during settled play. So let's talk about the trail official as the ball moves around the field. Right now, he's just a little lower than the wing line, and he's in what's known as the 5x5 square, just about 5 yards above the box, 5 yards in to the field or 5 yards outside the field, using the wing line as a reference point. And the trail official is right now, he's the on official, so he's watching this player. He watches the shooter all the way through, and the eyes stay on the shooter. Turning our attention to the lead official, he's off right now, but as the play comes to his side of the field, now he's the on official. Now he's dropping below goal line extended to watch the play. And now he's the off official as the ball is in the trail side of the field. So again, we're going to watch this shot and notice the different responsibility. The lead has his eyes on the shooter, but as soon as it shoots, he's got the whistle out of bounds and the signal along the end line. So now, having watched this clip, let's flip over and take a look at how we can diagram out lead and trail and on and off officiating. Here we have the field set to show on and off responsibilities between the lead official and the trail official in a two-person crew. So we've stripped out all of the other players save one red defenseman and one blue attacker. Because again, we're just looking to show really the focus of the two officials here. So here we cut a diagonal line through the goal area, or the attack box. And here we say that the lead official is pretty much responsible for everything as the on official on this side of the line, and the trail official is responsible for the entire rest of the field as the on official. So again, the on official means you are the primary official. So if we move these players up here, trail official will probably bump back just a touch. So we've established trail official has this half. He's the off official, looking around for any potential safety or off-ball tactical violations. The lead official, by virtue of this play, he's been pulled out just a little bit. And so now we're going to look at what happens if the defense gets a little bit off and we have an opportunity for pretty much a bang, quick.
I mean, we could watch all 11 minutes. I'm not sure if that's exactly what you want to do, but I think one of the important things just about what they've got up on the screen now is that sometimes we have a tendency to maybe be a little lazy, and this lead official will maybe stay parked right here and kind of turn his back to the goal and face the ball here. That's kind of a no-no. We definitely are kind of requiring that the lead needs to get out this wide. We call this the windmill. I think that's Frank Lansner's term. We don't stand here and turn around and watch over here. You've got to be mobile and you've got to get to here and then you follow play from behind, but you don't stand here. That's no good. Even in a two-man game, we got to do better than that. Yeah. Okay.
Always keep, as lead, always keep the play in front of you. So you never want a windmill or lighthouse. So exactly what he said.
All right. Want to keep going, Sean? Yeah, let's see how this plays out here.
Shot. So here, we're going to go ahead and have a very quick.
Want to keep going? All right. Let's see. Let's work. Personal fouls. All right. So personal fouls, these are the ones that are more serious. This is actually opposite of basketball. So personal fouls in lacrosse are 1, 2, and 3 minute penalties. Sometimes they're even non-releasable, like full time. So again, this is about safety. Personal fouls involve scenarios where player safety comes into question. So cross-checking is when you've got a defender who's got, or I shouldn't say a defender, any player who's got their hands separated on the stick and then is making contact with the actual stick on a player's body like that and extending. That's the cross-check. Illegal body check. So legal body check is kind of a more general, it's not very specific, but basically you can't check people from, or I should say legal checking is from the front or the side, right? Hands together above the waist, below the neckline, the shoulders, right? So front or side. Anything outside of that, you start talking about illegal body check. So a lot of that is stuff that's from behind, hands aren't together, anything that's high, right? So we have special considerations for when contact is made with the head or the neck. So again, illegal body check is kind of the kitchen sink of the personal fouls, where anytime we're not sure about a play and maybe it looks bad. I only say that because in level 1, you can go and do a youth game, and if somebody takes somebody out and you're not sure what to call, illegal body check. That's the easiest thing to do, right? We have another one of that in the technical fouls. That's just where everything is just the illegal procedure, right? So the kitchen sink of the personal fouls. There's the signal for it. You just kind of chicken wing and go up, so that's the illegal body check. The cross-check one, when you give the signal, it's just thrusting forward as if you had the stick in your hands. All right. Defenseless player. So again, 2 minutes, non-releasable at minimum. This has been a huge focus over the last couple of years. This is all about player safety, all about making sure that we're not going high, but at the same time, you do have plays where, like in football, for example, there's a pass and a player is sitting there and just waiting to catch it. And if this player has no clue about somebody else coming and taking a 5, 6, 7 yard run, and you take somebody out, right? That's defenseless. A lot of times this is coupled just with this kind of excessive force where it's unnecessary roughness, or it's a scenario where they go very high, or the cross check is so blatantly obvious. So again, defenseless player, for us, that's another consideration. This is minimum 2 minutes, non-releasable. I don't know if do we have video? Do these videos play, Sean? Or some of these videos? This one might be a video. No? Is it?
I've got a list of them.
If it plays great, if not, we'll move on.
I saved it on my desktop, and then when I transferred it, I'll get it in a second.
Okay, we'll get to the clips. So again, checks involving the head or neck, 2 minutes, non-releasable. So when we give the signal, you know, to the table, we would literally be verbalizing and showing at the same time. All right, white number 4, right? We've got illegal body check to the head, 2 minutes, non-releasable, and we would be verbalizing all that. So you're not just saying what the actual foul was, but then you're throwing on this extra bit because, again, player safety is at a premium. Illegal cross and equipment. This picture is always pretty good. This guy's really illegal. Can't do that. I know that depending on the level and whatnot, we would probably give warnings and ask guys to fix this if it wasn't so bad. But both of these are very, very blatant and obvious. We wouldn't allow this to continue. Deep pocket. This is going to be 1 minute non-releasable. Any of the other stick equipment violations are going to be 3 minutes. The strings are also a problem. This is actually a fix-it, I think. You just cut these or make them short, but if you catch them on the second time, then it's an actual time-serving penalty. So again, a lot of specifics about the sticks. That's a huge part of our job as officials, is to ensure that the equipment that they score with is, you know, complying. And at the same time, it's also an issue of, you know, if the ball's not coming out when it should, defenders just keep swinging away harder, faster, so it becomes a safety issue. The game is won or lost truly by how good a face-off guy is. So if the face-off guy has a stick that is giving him advantage in an illegal way, that's another important part that we have to kind of safeguard against. Question?
What's the advantage with the cutout of the glove?
So it's better grip, and it's also a scenario where they can actually control with their fingers better, and that's illegal. They actually can't even do that if the glove was completely, legal and properly equipped. They still can't grab the ball, especially on face-offs. But there, they would be able to actually potentially do it, and we would never know because the glove would actually, from the top, it would look like nothing was wrong.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing in face-offs, because when you do the face-off, it looks like glove's not moving, but his fingers are moving.
So let's see. I mean, I could tell the story about my very first year on the Lacrosse. And I incorrectly penalized a stick twice, and it was a heck of a game. It went to overtime. It was awesome. Only to find out that I did it wrong, and they protested, and we had to like replay a whole half of the game. It was messed up, but you live and learn. So
strings and butt ends are the face-it tickets, right?
Strings and buttons, yeah. So they got to have an end cap that's got to be designed for lacrosse. Like we have kids that put like beer bottle caps and stuff on there, and then they put tape, and that's no good. It's got to be like a rubber end cap designed for lacrosse. That's really important. The only thing is maybe actually the wood sticks still have to have even an end cap, even if it's a solid wood shaft, which only maybe 1 or 2 players play with in high school.
Are you sure?
No, only hollow shafts.
Only a hollow shaft does have an end cap. Yeah.
I don't know about that. I'd have to double check. Anyway, not the biggest deal, but maybe you want to answer that question right on the test. You can only miss 10. All right, Sean, can I click through? Is this working? You still jamming away?
I got some videos for you.
Okay.
We'll start with on this one. All right, this looks okay.
Here we go. Oh. So you're looking at this right here. Can you go back? Oh, that's gonna do the replay.
The guy right in the middle, that guy.
So right here.
Cross check.
So this for me is actually cross check. It's close. It's close to being high.
Close to being high.
It hits him in the head.
Does it?
Yeah.
That's gonna be 2 minutes non-releasable.
Release. He gets one release.
What's that?
Keep the bomber.
They say 1 minute releasable. So they're saying, look, if they're saying that that's at the shoulders or at the chest, then fine. 1 minute releasable is fine. I'm looking at that. My gut tells me that's a little high, but.
Also, the more you officiate and see it in person, the more they're going to show you a video later, and you're gonna look at the video, and it's gonna look 10 times worse than if it did like on the field, and that's what the coaches and the people see. So don't be afraid to go higher. Like, I can't believe they put 1 minute releasable on this one.
That's what they said.
I mean, look, it's a good look shooter. He wasn't even.
Well, the referee was pretty close
Let's
to
play
the
again.
Look, the bottom line is that, I mean, this isn't the greatest video. We don't get some zoom in thing. If this is right here, right, and it's not at the neck or the head, then 1 minute's fine.
Daniel?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, there's a key factor in there. That official with the ball watching, he would miss it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's the trail.
If he'd have been ball watching, he would have seen it.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah. He comes in from the side.
He passes the ball, he stays with
See the
the
single?
passer.
See there? I slashed the guy before. I think the biggest thing that Sean just pointed out is always go higher. If you're in doubt, always go with the higher penalty. You just maintain that and be consistent throughout the whole game.
And Tim's right. That's 100% the call of the single side or the trail. And his job is not to watch where the ball goes. His job is to watch what happens to the shooter. Did you have a question?
Yeah, as a player, I was always like big, and I played football, and I would even kind of tone it down in lacrosse, and still penalties would be called. So like, I wanted to get with all the freaking experience in the room.
Yeah.
I just, as an official, just always go with safer and more, just to keep them safe, or like, like I really wasn't trying to hit these little kids. Like seriously, you know. Like,
So look, I'm gonna be like as practically honest as I possibly can.
Yeah.
You know, every lacrosse game, because the sport is still fairly new. I mean, it's been in Orange County for a while now, which is great, and it's growing. But we still have a very large disparity of what is a high-level game, what is a mid-level game, what is a low-level game. You know, we don't treat a youth game the same as we treat a boys varsity game. We don't treat JV and Frostoff the way we treat varsity. In all fairness, and I say this in front of the coaches every year, not every varsity game is the same. So a lot of it, you know, really depends on what the level of play is right in front of you at that moment. And certainly in some games, that last clip that we showed, there's plenty of players and coaches that are happy to just see that as a 1 minute penalty. There are other games where we need to ratchet that up because that's just what that game in that moment needs. So I think it would really depend on the level of lacrosse. And in all fairness, it could also depend on the level of the official. Because as we're telling you, we're going to say safety first. And you're going to probably, if you're level 1 or 2, you'd see lower level games. We want you to err on the side of safety. We want you to, you know, exercise caution. And when in doubt, either blow the whistle first. Like sometimes we have guys that won't even blow a whistle to throw a flag. But then if you're talking about whether or not we're going to, you know, take the more severe penalty, at some point for the guys in this room and the level of play you're going to see, when in doubt, by all means, safety first, give the more severe penalty. No question. Like that everybody that is in leadership, and whether it's from the official side or the coach's side or the parents, whoever, everybody would support that. So does that help?
Absolutely.
It just really depends on the competition that's right in front of you. Yeah. All right.
Well, as a first year official, you're going to go out there and you're going to see something happen like that. Throw your flag, and then go when the whistle's blown. Go ahead and go over and talk to the referee, and the referee will help guide you as to what you guys should call.
Well, and Buck's right. And Ozone brings up a good point too. In youth lacrosse, and I think it's not all ages, but the majority of the ages, you know, there's no legal checking. Like you can't legally take somebody out like you can in like high school, for example. So it's also important to know that, you know, what is the age of the kids, what are the rules that are specific to that age. They have a whole book that, you know, I take to the field because, you know, if I'm doing under 14, it changes once you go back to under 12, and then if you're doing under, you know, 15 or 16 or whatever it is, all of that has very specific rules, and one of the big ones is whether or not you even are allowed to make any sort of legal contact like that. Even if it was legal in high school, it may just be illegal to do any sort of checking like that in youth. So then, definitely, you're already erring on the side of safety because the rules are already like pushing you in that direction for sure. So, all right, you want to play this one, Sean?
All right, sure. And this one, watch it happens at the end of the play, and you got to really watch his hands. Right there. his hands in slow motion, you'll see it. His hands are apart the whole time. And then he just, on his arm. And
So,
unfortunately, sometimes you're going to get that view, like where we are right now in the stands, and it doesn't look that bad from where we are, does it? It looks like he's trying to play defense, straight his stick straight up and down. But that one is called because it's the official on the field who sees it from the side. So that's the way it's going to be sometimes. Sometimes you'll have the good angle, like this official does. Sometimes you'll have the coach's angle, which is better sometimes, depending on where it is in the field. And that's where the disparity occurs in what they think is a foul and what we think is a foul. So just be aware, talk to your partner, look back and forth on the field, make sure you're watching it play and looking for stuff. As you start doing more games, you'll start being able to look for things and know where to look, put your eyes, and how far to keep them, how long to keep them on certain places, and when to move them off.
This is also, so in any game, even a three-man game, if the benches are right here, this is a tough place because you're kind of in a place where it's really in between everybody's responsibility. You know what I mean? Like at times you're going to have a scenario where there's no official that's really all that close to this. So then the question becomes, what do you do when you're so far away? And it's even for the most experienced official, it would be hard to really be sure about this. I mean, we don't want anybody to go out there and guess, but at the same time, if you're talking about a cross check, which is a 1 minute, personal foul at minimum, anytime player safety is involved, even just the decision to even throw a flag in this case, I wouldn't be looking to call a technical foul from 30, 40, 50 yards away, if I was kind of unsure, but it was a personal foul, and it's an issue of safety, and I can get any view on this. It's not the worst flag in the world to throw. And I would say, especially again, we're talking about level 1 and 2 officials doing youth games. By all means, we got to get a whistle and a flag on this play, no question. Now, again, a high school championship game, probably not. But again, we need to understand where we're at. Does that make sense? Okay.
I think the hardest thing there is that the official on the side has the line. He's usually looking at his toes or his feet and seeing if he's in bounds or out of bounds. And the guys on the other side are looking for the illegal cross check, the illegal body check, and all that good stuff up top.
Yeah, so everything we do on that particular play, especially if you're throwing the flag from distance, there's all those C words that we talked about the courage and the conviction and the different things. That's when that has to come out, because you're gonna have to sell that decision from a long way away. And Ojan's right. If I'm the guy from far away, I know that I can't see anything from a boundary line perspective. So the only place I'm looking is gonna be high. Whereas the guy who's close, he's gonna be watching down low and can easily miss that. So. Sean's trying to hurry me up.
Sorry.
All good. Here we go. Sounds like it was a good one. Oh boy. Yeah. So that's a problem. You got a guy who's looking down at the ground. That's also there's a consideration there that's defenseless player. Let's check this one out. So the other thing too is we also got to be careful. It's also not just the shooter. In that case, that was a pass. So I know we use the term shooter, but it also applies to the passer, because this guy gets nailed. Yeah. I don't know what they're gonna call it, but bam.
Maybe we should talk about who should have thrown the flag on this and whose responsibility it was, because the guy that was closest would actually not be responsible for that.
Yeah, you want to go back, Sean, to the other one if you can, or is that too hard?
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. So go for it. Let's see. Oh, come on.
It automatically does it. I don't know why.
So can you just pause it as soon as the contact's made? Yeah, perfect. That works. So Ojan. So this guy, unfortunately, he's actually a little behind where he should be. He should actually be moving a little faster. We want him to kind of already be down here. This is not a good thing because the ball is actually farther down the field than he is. So that's number one.
This is a 3-man game, so.
He's still
even worse.
No, what I'm saying. That's right. Well, what I'm saying is.
Is there a lead on there?
Huh?
Where's the lead?
No, this guy is the lead. That's what I'm saying.
Well, it looks like the trail. It's terrible.
That's the lead?
That's what I'm saying.
So
It is a face-off. But look, first of all, the guy for whatever reason is slow getting to GLE. Doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter why. But the fact is, he really needs to be ahead of play here. That's the first thing. The second thing is that at some point, if he's in his position, he's not really watching this. He's making sure the crease is good. He's on the goal line. We don't even know at this point whether or not this is a shot or a pass. You know. But the guy who actually should be throwing this flag is going to be somewhere off the screen over here. Single side or a trail who's back down here. It's a 3-man game. But the trail or single side, for the purposes of this discussion, this guy over here has got to be the one catching this. Yeah?
Is there a laser on that?
Yeah. I press the middle button. Learn something new every day.
I've only been using it for 2 years. Okay. Awesome.
Hey, I didn't know that we were running the other way this year, so.
Neither did I.
Look, yeah. News to me. Here we go.
That was a question on the.
Oh boy.
Here it comes.
So they're calling this illegal body check.
It's late.
It looks like he hit his hands with a stick.
So.
Ball's already gone.
Yeah. So the key to this play, is that the ball has clearly been passed away, and you still have this defender trying to make contact. I think we could get into a discussion about whether that's more interference as opposed to illegal body check. But the point of that clip for level 1 and 2 officials is that we don't allow contact to be made when the ball is gone. Does that make sense?
All right. It's just like in football with roughing the passer. It's the same idea.
Yep.
After he throws the ball, he can't get hit.
And again, that's not because he's a passer or a shooter. We need the first look at that's got to come from whoever the trail official is. I know that there are times where, in a 2-man game and it's a fast transition, there are times where we just survive and do what we have to do. But in general, we got to have the lead looking at that before we have the GLE lead official catching that one. All right, let's check this out. Ooh, there we go. So he's going to throw the flag. But this isn't right in our mechanics. He needs to be worried about the goal. What happens if the ball hits off the crossbar and bounces straight down, and he's looking at whether or not the guy got hit late? That's no good. He's also got the attacker when Sean plays the clip forward more, please. You also have a guy who's going to be cutting a little bit. He needs to be checking out the toes here because we got to make sure this guy hasn't gotten himself into the crease. Go ahead. And again, this is late, right? And so we need to penalize this.
Yeah, I think though in the lead's defense, he saw it out the corner of his eye because it was right there in front of him, and we didn't see if the other guy threw the flag. It was supposed to be on the flag.
Yeah,
he threw it right after.
So I only saw one flag.
In general, for the point of the discussion, because look, on the field, we do what we have to do sometimes, but the mechanics are we want the trail to throw this flag. We want the lead to stay focused on the crease and GLE. That's
and if the trail didn't see it and didn't throw the flag, then everybody would be screaming if the lead didn't throw his flag, right? So if you see it, you throw it.
Yeah, in survival mode, and we're out on the field, which is yeah, no problem. Here we go. Oh, they want that one, huh? No.
You gotta think that they're showing us for level 1 referees, they're showing us not like 8-step takeouts. They're showing us tight ones on purpose because they want to range them. They're not showing us 10 minutes.
Here we go. Sean, do we want to play that one again, or are we good? I mean, that wasn't the best example. Here we go. See ya. Let's see.
So basically, it won't always leak its top.
That seems to be the message they're sending
Oh, yeah.
This one's in the back. It's getting up here.
Yeah, lay it on the back.
Check this out. Boom.
That was too harsh for a clip.
That one's not the most egregious, but again, if we're talking about you, and certainly no takeout checks, we have to penalize this appropriately. See if it'll let me do anything. Let's keep going. All good.
No, it's just for that. So now let's jump to.
We jump into face-offs, is that what we're doing?
No, it's a defense.
Oh, this one's bad.
Oh boy.
Oh!
Okay. So look. So this is a big deal on face-offs because the only two guys that can be contesting for this ball right here are the two guys facing off. I might be sitting that kid for the rest of the game. I'd probably in a youth game I'd probably say see you later. Yep, I'd probably say get out the game. But you know we can still be as officials we can still be proactive when you see the guys coming in. You know, crashing in from the wing. A lot of times it's just a simple thing of like, hey, not yet. You know, ball's not out yet, not yet, because you'll have guys sitting there trying to still, you know, go at the ball between the two face-off guys. That it's not allowed for the guys in the wing to come in and contact them. And certainly this is really egregious. This would be something that we would eject a kid for. Slashing. So I don't think we saw. You probably have videos of that. This is one of the more common ones. It's very similar to what hockey is as kind of a parallel example. We have some rules in youth where we don't allow like one-handed stick checks. I think at certain levels. So again, be aware of those rules.
Playing the ball within 3 yards.
Yeah.
Certain levels.
So the youth rules, if the ball is not within 3 yards of somebody, you can't really challenge them or try and contact them or engage them in any way. Again, the younger the kids are, the more that we want to teach them the safest way to play before all the coaches get a hold of them. Try and push the boundaries. All right, here we go. Let's talk a little bit about slashing. I think it is slashing, Sean? Yeah.
He gets in the helmet pretty good.
Right? The helmet.
Yeah, right.
And he's
And right,
swinging
right.
coming in and
This
stuff
one.
right there.
The last one, yeah.
I had a ward before the splash.
You can still get a slash if you're warded.
You kill the play, you wouldn't slash. Or kill it.
Well, you
There's
still,
the slash right there.
This is the last one.
but even if you did blow the whistle, it's still a slash penalty, even if it's a dead ball.
Oh boy.
Oh! That was pretty obvious. That's 2 flags.
Here's my question here. Clearly the kid slashed him.
So this is can we play it again and I want you to just focus on the first time that 31 takes a swing, the first time that 31 in black takes a swing. What he's attempting to do is he's going for the bottom hand. That's what he's attempting to do. That one doesn't bother me so much because I also think that that's why the ball pops out. Now the second one is a problem because the second one I don't think is really on the stick. This one right there, that one's more of an issue for me. And then certainly when number 4 turns around and he goes yeah, a little crazy. That we're gonna ratchet that one up for sure. But just I want you to understand when they're slashing when they are attempting to play legally checking, in that play, he's trying to go for the bottom hand, and there's good reason, and that's legal. I think the first one is probably going to be okay. But the second one, and then the reaction, no good. No good.
So you would call the 3-minute and toss the kid that retaliated before the first guy with the second.
In a youth game, we're probably getting rid of number 4 from the other team because that's pretty blatant, I think.
Right. Okay.
But at minimum, that is 3 minutes, no question in a youth game.
Right.
If you don't eject the kid, I can make a case to keep him around for the game, but minimum 3 minutes non-releasable in a youth game for the retaliation. The other one is, to me, is just a 1 minute slash.
Okay. That's what I was thinking.
Is that, I mean, am I?
That's what I was asking.
That's right.
Yeah. 34 would be a 1 minute slash. Correct.
Yeah, 31 is 1 minute slash, and then the other kid is minimum 3 minutes non-releasable for the retaliation, and he may or may not be ejected. It's very close to kicking him out. But the one earlier, when the guy gets taken out on the face-off, 100% ejection. There is nothing short. That minimum is ejection.
Would you consider those to be simultaneous?
Yeah, those are definitely simultaneous. That's the thing I was going to mention was that the thing I like about lacrosse, the thing I like better about Bach because they're better at it, but in regular field lacrosse, they're very good about getting both guys involved. I know in playing football growing up, it's always like if someone pushes you, fall down, even though you might have been the aggressor. They always catch the last person, right? Usually in football, it's whoever was the last person to get it. They're like, oh, you're out of here. You're thrown out of the game. Last Sunday's controversy aside. But was it Jalen Ramsey and the other guy? But anyway, what I liked about that situation was that they were going to eject both guys. I didn't see that. I haven't seen that a lot in sports, especially football, where they eject both players. In lacrosse, they will. Then they have a special rule called simultaneous fouls, where in that situation, those are both live ball fouls. And so the only reason that guy, the defender, slashed him is because he was slashed. So you have to penalize both guys. Now, the second guy will probably have more time because he retaliated, but they're both going to serve a non-releasable joined minute or two, whatever the lowest penalty is, together to help reinstate and solidify the fact that we're trying to get both players, and both players are responsible for what happened. So it's really, don't worry, your referee will help you on that to make sure. But that's one time when you come together. What did you have? What did you have? Okay, well this person did this, so is it simultaneous? Yes, we got to make sure they're both serving, and the coaches understand that we saw both plays. Both guys are getting fouls. Because what's the first thing they're going to say as soon as you go over there? Well, that guy should be getting at least 3 minutes, and my guy should be getting just 1. And it's like, okay, we'll work that out together. But just know that in the sport, we do, what I love about lacrosse is that they really make sure that everyone is held accountable for what they do.
Well, and in general, as far as good officiating practice, you should never make anything up. But at some point, when you can punish both people, and there's a sense of balance that goes along with that. And most of the time, if we stay balanced, and that's there for us, we're not going to see the game start to go out of control. It's when things start to get a little on the imbalance side that we have a harder time managing and selling decisions. That, again, I'm not saying that doesn't happen. Team fouls more, but anytime we have the opportunity to punish both players in a situation like that, just take it. They've given it to you on a silver platter. Don't try and get too cute with that. Both players have done something wrong, and yes, the one guy's reaction, he should just not do anything, but he's going to get more time, and the other guy still is guilty of the first foul. So, all right, next one. This one's got a little more juice, I think. So the issue here is that the slash right to the back, and this is what this is good for the guy who is new. The slash right into the big numbers is nowhere near where the ball is or where the stick is. You know what I mean? So you're not trying to go for the bottom hand. You're just trying to hit the guy square in the back. So
And he hits him again right here.
Yeah,
egregious, repeated, no clear attempt to dislodge.
Yeah. Now.
Also, it's bad coaching. Anytime, you should no coach should ever reinforce the fact that if you're beat, like the guy's by you, that you should be doing a game check of any kind. So just have that in mind. Like that's just not good coaching. So if he says anything, he's incredible. Like, he has no credibility. So, like, he's coming forward and he hits something right on the back. This mostly happens with long poles. And there's a lot of long poles who will do this until you call it. And sometimes the coaches support that under the radar. Sometimes they do it overtly. You know, it's part of the if you're not cheating, you're not trying sort of thing. You know, if they're not going to call it, just do it. Sometimes you have that situation. That's one of them. That kid's going to hit. They're going to hit and then hit until you call a penalty. So you got to set the threshold early. Talk to the referee about it. He'll probably bring that up to you. But like right there, he clearly hit him in the back. No one should be hitting anything but the stick. If you hit the hands on the stick, that's okay. But anything, assuming it's a controlled swing, but anything above like the wrists, the arm, the elbow, the back, the shoulder, they're not supposed to hit that. And a lot of kids will argue with that, even coaches, because that's the way some referees call it, because they don't know the difference. You got to know that that's not okay. You can't hit him in the back, arm, shoulder, nothing but the stick, and then maybe the gloves, and the gloves are holding the stick.
It's one thing to make a legitimate attempt and miss by a little bit, and it's all in control and it's skillful. This is and Sean's right. Like, yes, 18's got a step on this defender, but like I said, there's no good explanation for why he would be checking a player like that. So. Oh boy. Oh boy. So we're looking at the long pole here, right? I think it's gonna be this guy. Look at this. Woo, 1, 2. Got him. So I think he gets him on kind of forearm on the first one, and then he probably gets a little bit of helmet on the second one. Yeah, and what you'll see is, I don't want to say we give them free ones. That's not that I don't want to say that that's acceptable. Most of us aren't so quick triggered to throw the flag on our first one that isn't awful. But at some point, when they keep going, and they're not getting glove, they're not getting stick, we're going to start throwing flags. And Sean's right. At some point, what you allow is what you encourage. So if you allow them to swing 2 and 3 times, you are encouraging them to continue to swing 2, 3, and even 4 and 5 times. They're going to simply do what we allow them to do. So if you want to fix this or solve this in your game, just stamp it out early and just say, nope, we're not doing it. Oh, the hidden ball trick. I think we're going to be watching here. Oh, no, we're watching there. That's what he throws it for. One more time. So this guy doesn't even, or actually he does have the ball whack. So I think he's saying that's out here. He's saying that's about here. Yep. I got lit up on the face off. That's bad. So tripping, it's pretty self-explanatory. You can't trip a guy. You can't stick out your leg like it's a soccer game. That's no good. You can't use your stick to do it.
Feet getting hot.
So yeah. So Peter's bringing up a good point. I mean, at some point, especially when the ball's loose, that guy's going for it. You know, tripping over, or I should say, falling over feet and falling over outstretched poles is not tripping. You're looking for something a little bit more blatant than that. You know, we get a little in between scenarios, especially with balls loose, where maybe you call that more of a hold as opposed to a trip. It's not a time-serving penalty if the ball is loose, so there's a little game management that goes along with that too. But for level 1 and 2, the actual tripping part needs to be a little bit more blatant. Unnecessary roughness. The salute is the signal for this. You probably have a couple clips for this that'll be crowd pleasers. No? Okay. We're just at some point, you know, we start, you know, this is something that you're going to start to see with the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yard run up where guys are just beelining for people. We don't allow that even at some point. Huh?
The facial stuff is good.
Yeah, I mean that's yes. But even in general, it's people we don't allow that. Even anytime the ball's in the air, yeah, and somebody's lining somebody up, that type of stuff, no good. We don't allow that. You just still have to play somewhat in control. You can play hard, and there certainly is legal contact. I mean, this is a contact sport, but we don't let guys just run and do the football thing. It's not the same thing.
Like if the ball is gone and it was a legal check, but since now he doesn't have a ball, now it's not a legal check, it's unnecessary roughness.
Yeah. Or if the guy just, like I said, you just can't finish somebody off for the sake of just knocking some guy over. It's no good. It's still the sport still has skill and agility that is emphasized more than the football mentality of we're just we're hitting people. It's a finesse sport. Yeah.
And
that's right.
use lacrosse, unnecessary roughness is not really.
Yep. So again, the whole point is that from the earliest ages, we are not teaching kids or promoting or encouraging kids to play it like it's a football sport. That's, again, finesse, agility, that is what lacrosse is about. There is still very legal and solid contact allowed, but it's very specific. Again, from the front, from the side, hands together, anything that starts to get outside of that, that's where lacrosse, the rules kick in. So, all right, here we go. I don't know if I'm clicking or you are. There we go. Unsportsmanlike conduct. So, unsportsmanlike conduct is for all the stuff. Usually, this is a dead ball foul most of the time. When we start having fighting and different things like that, tussles and whatnot, if guys are jawing at each other. We have a half version of this, which is the 30-second penalty or the turnover, which is just conduct. So that'd be the one arm out as opposed to both arms out. So we have a half version of that. Unsportsmanlike conduct is just like technical foul in basketball in the sense that you get 2 of them in a game, and that leads to an ejection. You can get as many conducts as you want as just technical fouls. Those also don't add up to personal foul penalty minutes. I think that's probably coming up next, right? We'll probably talk about. Let's see. Let me hear you. There we go. They didn't talk about it, but personal fouls in lacrosse, you get 5 minutes in any game, and it's only the personal fouls that count. So it's the 1, 2, or 3 minutes. As soon as you get 5, you've fouled out of the game. It's just like in basketball where you foul out. So personal fouls are a part of that, but not minutes.
By minute. Not actual foul. Not actual fouls.
What did I say?
You just said 5.
Sorry, it's 5 total minutes of personal foul penalty time. So it's not 5, well, actually 5 personal fouls would be at least 1 minute each, so you would be out. But you could get it in 2 fouls. Right? Or 3, or 4. Can't get it with 1, but definitely 2. Technical fouls are all 30-second penalties, or if the ball is loose, then it's just you give the ball to the non-offending team. And again, you can get as many 30-second penalties as you want, and those don't add up into your 5 minutes of fouling out. All right. So technical fouls, again, this is the opposite of basketball. These are the less serious ones, more technical in nature. Okay, I can't click anymore, Sean. Sorry. It's all good. I hear you clicking away, though. Here we go. So again, fouls of less serious nature, turnover, 30-second penalty. Again, we talk about advantage, disadvantage. This is where we got to, when the ball is loose, how much are we looking at that saying advantage, disadvantage when somebody, falls over a stick, that type of thing. I'm trying again. You're trying again. Crease violations, goalie interference. So in lacrosse, you have to allow the goalie to throw the ball without any sort of interference. Basically, you can't just stand there with your stick and hold it in front of the goalie. The whole point is that if there's contact and it's in the goalie's throwing motion, then we're going to give the other team a free clear. Technically, the goalie is not allowed to try and go out of his way to make contact, although that does happen. in general, we usually give the benefit of the doubt to the goalie, especially at the lower levels, because goalies aren't going to be coached to do that or know even what they're doing. You're just going to see a kid who's trying to, block him, and they're just going to throw it. So that's an easy one. That's just a free clear. The goalie at the higher level, if he's doing that intentionally and he actually hits somebody in the process, he could actually be guilty of a slash. So it's a little bit more difficult at the higher level when they're trying to disguise it and actually draw the penalty. So, and again, all these crease violations, anytime that you've got attacking players in the crease, that's no good. Yep.
Question on the goalkeeper experience. If you're on the doorstep and you take a shot, and in the motion of taking the shot, you hit the goalie, is that goalkeeper experience?
By the rule book, yes, but you're never going to call it.
Yeah. It is. Well, it's a crease violation at that point. You. Well, you can't. But you can't. Yeah, I mean, you're not. Yeah, but it's contact with that, or even the. You're not going to call it, but technically, it is against the rules. And you can't. You also can't make contact with the actual goal itself either. But yeah, you're not going to see that called unless it's something ridiculously blatant. You can't make contact with the goal, I don't think. Anyway, answer your question?
Yep. Good.
All right. Next, Sean. Holding. So again, this is not as serious as a slash, right? This is not as serious as a cross check. A lot of the time, the difference between a cross check or a hold would be a situation where you've got this like thrusting motion. A hold, when you're talking about using the metal part of the stick, that's a situation where there might be some prolonged contact where it's not just one blow, but it's more of I'm trying to guide you with my stick. That's not legal. That would be more of a hold as opposed to like a cross check. But there's a little gray area between those two.
Really focus on the elbows. So if the elbows are not thrusting, they're not moving, then it's probably just a hold. He's just holding it. But if he's thrusting forward, his elbows are moving, probably a cross check.
And again, at some point, there's also this idea of just because there's a little contact between, the metal of the stick and the player, I don't want us to just, especially if it's not a cross check, right? But maybe there is some contact. We at the lower levels can say, hey, get your hands together, right? Like we can educate and coach a little bit with the youth kids. And at some point, we're not just going to say that every time there's contact, boom, it's a hold, and you're going to throw a flag. We can have 50, 60 of those in a youth game. You want to maybe start by trying to educate and be preventative, and at the same time, that's where this disadvantage comes from, right? Yeah. Like just because it happened doesn't mean we're always going to call it if it ends up having no impact or consequence, right, whatsoever. So a little bit of feel and managing and trying to keep the game flowing when maybe all it requires to really fix the issue is just to say, hey, do it like this next time, right? Especially with the little ones. All right. That's holding. Illegal offensive screen. So this is the issue of contact being required. Is that? So illegal offensive screen, yeah.
The contact has to.
So illegal offensive screen is a little different than interference. Illegal offensive screen is specific to a scenario where a guy is trying to set an actual pick, which is legal, but they have to do it in a certain way. So they've got to be stationary, number one, and their feet aren't supposed to be wider than their shoulders, and their stick is supposed to be straight up and down. And like anything, they've got to beat the other guy to the spot. They can't really be moving.
It's like a moving pick in basketball.
And you can't like chicken wing, and you're not supposed to lean. Again, at the higher level, it's a much more egregious thing. I mean, in all fairness, at the highest level, we even allow a little bit of contact the other way, and may even get knocked down. We don't call anything. But in the youth game, and for level 1 and 2 officials, you just want to emphasize kind of the nuts and bolts of what they're supposed to do. So a lot of the time, guys will get lazy and they do this, and then the guy's trying to run around them and it catches here. Well, that's illegal. You're not supposed to be like this. So that would be a common one maybe at the youth level. It's also a situation where they just don't get there in time. And so then they're still kind of trying to, in the process of planting their feet, and they're not there in time. And so then there's contact, and then this is just the signal for it, illegal offensive screen, or you can do it this way. I think I do it this way, but this is probably the right way. So illegal offensive screen, and then you point the direction. All right. Illegal procedure. There's my kitchen sink. Any action of a technical nature not in conformity with the rules. Trying to think what the most common ones are. Yeah, you can't play without your stick. So if you've lost your stick, the first thing you have to do is go pick it up. You can't continue to try and play defense or anything without it. So that's just, illegal procedure, and then you award the ball the other way if it's loose. If they go and get it, you keep playing.
But if you go on your way to get it, you get someone's way, then you're playing.
Yep. So even sometimes they don't mean to be playing without the stick, they're playing without the stick. Oh, here we go. We got touching the ball. Throw lacrosse, play without stick. Flip cross in opponent's face. Team is avoidably late entering game before timekeeper releases the penalty. Delay of game, but again, unique signal would be this. Let's see, what else? Playing from out of bounds, giving 5 yards on a restart. Any violation of the substitution rules, again, there is some unique signals for that. Calling too many timeouts, more than 10 players on the field, violations of face-off positioning. That would be as simple as some guy leaves early, right? So that's just illegal procedure, he left early. Going the other way, what else is there? Equipment check on the long cross count. So you can only have so many long poles in the game at one time. If you have more than the 4, then that's illegal procedure. Where else? More than 4 long poles rolling a ball away can also be considered delay a game, not having a scorebook. This is a good one. If the field isn't properly marked before the game, that's illegal procedure, and you award the opening faceoff to the visiting team because it's the home team's responsibility to have the field properly marked. Kind of difficult in the tournament scenario because the tournament is responsible, not necessarily whoever is the designated home team. Failure to advance the ball, but again, that also has special signals. It's not this. Failure to advance is tapping the top of your hat. Taking more than 5 seconds to pick up the ball, taking a dive or feign a slash to the head to deceive an official. Let's see. Did anybody actually call that at all last
I
year?
did. One
Did you
time
call
like
it
3
once?
years ago. 3 years ago.
But the rule's only been in place for like, what, 2-3 years?
No, I didn't miss
3?
It's about 3 years.
What are we talking about?
The diving.
Take a dive.
I'm trying to think if I've actually called it. I don't think I've actually had to call it.
You know what? I actually didn't call procedure. What I did was I blew it dead to make sure he's okay, and I made him get off. I was like, I blew it for you, get him off.
There you go. That works. Yeah, you're injured. All right. So yeah, big long laundry list of illegal procedure. That's why we call it the kitchen sink. All right. I think if I click that, is it gonna?
So I got a question. And
Yeah.
I think I know the answer based on that last line. So if you go back to that list, and the last line is if you don't know what the technical foul is, it's legal procedure. I was in high school. I was a defender, but I had one of my guys on offense. His shoe was untied. It's a settled situation, and he's running. It's not really driving at the cage yet. The shoe fell off. So the shoe fell off. The ref blows it dead. Call it legal procedure. It was a turnover because his own shoe fell off. Yeah, that's silly, right? Okay, so we all thought that was silly.
That was the rule at the time that you played.
Yeah, it changed.
They changed
Oh,
it.
okay. This was in 2004, probably.
Yeah.
Now
It's been a while since we played that. That's a long time ago. Yeah. It's 13 years ago. But yes, the rules change like almost every 2 years. So
they change every year.
Well,
they're moving me to the other side of the goal.
In high school, it's about every year. In college, it's every 2 years. But yeah, that was like 6 or 7 iterations ago. The rules.
Okay.
But yeah, that did make sense, right?
Yeah.
So they've changed that. Now, if you lose equipment, instead of playing without equipment on the offense, they just blow it dead and have them put their shoe back on with glove. The difference though is like defense. If you're playing without your glove, defense, then you would get a penalty for that. Instead of you're supposed to just come off the field. It's like if you break your stick, you can't play with it. You just go off the field and sub. That's the best.
Play without a stick, although people try. All right.
Hey, Daniel, real quick, I don't know if it says it up there, I can't see it, you alluded to it, but there's a lot of technical foul signals.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not gonna remember
gal, whip this out. Just do that real quick.
We're rolling.
Point your direction and play.
There we go. All right. Conduct foul. So again, this is the half the unsportsmanlike. This is the 30-second variety, or if the ball is loose or the other team has possession, it's just a turnover. But if the non-offending team or the opponent has possession, then this is a flag. So then it'll be a time serving penalty of 30 seconds. Here we go. So interference, as we alluded to in youth games, you gotta be playing within 3 yards of the ball. In high school and in college, it's 5 yards. So the ball is always moving. So that's the part of this that can get a little tricky. The faster the game is moving, that means that 5-yard radius is always moving too. So in general, though, you got to be close to the ball to be engaging. And if you're not, then you could be guilty of interference. Offside. All right. So offside is, in this case, what they're trying to show you is you got to count the circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the dark team, they are on offense, and the problem is that they can only have 6 guys on offense, and same thing goes for the defense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but they just get the extra guy who's the goalie, right? So in this case, my guess is the dark team is in possession of the ball, and offside is a technical foul. So when you have the team in possession of the ball who commits a technical foul, this is not a flag. It's just a turnover. So you would blow the whistle, offside, and you give the ball to white.
Where would the halfway line be in this particular?
So you got the 10, 20, 30, 40. The halfway line is going to be the 50 right here. So that's why you and this could be as easy as this guy just forgot what line is what. See what I mean? Especially on a football field, right, where you have multiple lines like this. He could easily have just wandered over, and he may think that he's good. He may think that the 40 is the halfway line. So, all right. There we go. So pushing, again, not as serious as the cross check, the illegal body check. We see this a lot when it's just simply from behind. These are really easy kind of game management calls most of the time. And most of the time at the youth level, it's pretty obvious. They don't know how to hide this. Advantage, disadvantage is a big part of this as we get into the higher levels. But in general, in the youth, pretty much any contact from behind, you probably want to penalize it and play it safe. Because you're trying to teach the kids that you can't do anything from behind. That's really important at the lower levels, for sure. All right. And again, it doesn't have to be a push with like your actual hand. I mean, they could just simply make contact and put the guy, use their shoulder, and they push the guy in the back. It doesn't have to be physically with gloves or anything like that, right? Stalling. Stalling, again, there's 2 types. There's the ones that's automatic, which is in the final 2 minutes of any game. If a team is leading by so many goals, and it could change at the youth level. Some of it, there's never any stalling. Sometimes the stall warning, the mandatory stall warning in the final 2 minutes is in effect. It's 4 or 5 goals in high school. It's got to be 4 or less. That means that the game is close enough to where a team is going to benefit from this stalling tactic. So then we confine them into the attack area, and you put the stall warning on as soon as it's in the final 2 minutes. As soon as they touch the box, they better stay in. There are times where prior to the final 2 minutes of the game, if the team is considered to not be attacking and they've got possession, we can arbitrarily put the stall warning on, and we can confine them into the box until they actually start making attacking moves and playing some offense. So
that's typically called by the referee.
Yeah. So what James is saying is that the crew chief, whoever the referee is, they're going to be the ones that want to put the stall warning on. Some of us, we use signals where somebody will just tap our hat like this, and you're trying to tell your referee like, hey, I think this is stalling. But you, as the umpire or the field judge, you're not going to put the stall warning on. The referee is usually going to do it. Some guys like to even give a little bit of maybe some advance warning, like, hey, let's go white, let's see some offense or something. and you try and tell them, hey, it's coming if you don't figure this out. A lot of the times, maybe at the youth level, what you'll see is they'll just pass the ball around a few times, and 6, 7 guys touch it, 8 guys, is all they're doing is passing, and you're just trying to waste time. If they're not attacking, then you can put the stall warning on. Part of this too is also dependent on whether or not they're doing this inside the box or whether or not they're doing it outside the box. So if they're outside the box, it doesn't require that the defending team is actually playing defense outside the box. It does require, though, that the defending team is playing defense within the box. The defense can't just sit back with the attacking team in the box and watch them do nothing. Then there is no stall warning. So a couple little nuances that it's important to be aware of. But again, the final 2 minutes, mandatory, definitely in high school and in the older levels of youth, but it's got to be four goal lead or less. If it becomes a 10-goal lead, we don't want to put the attackers next to a bunch of frustrated defenders who are just going to whack away. So a little bit of game management there. Warning, so contact is required, so that's important. Basically, the ball carrier needs to keep both hands on the stick, and they can't use their free hand to play and push the other opponent away, whether it's contact with the body or contact with the opponent's cross. They can't play with their free hand. We gotta play with both hands on the stick.
Wait, you're not saying that.
I'm saying that wrong. Is that what you?
The last part was wrong.
They don't have to play with both hands on the stick. They can't use their free hand to ward off the other player.
There we go.
So essentially, you have this in the same.
Yeah,
spot.
we have. Yeah.
Well, you can't use it to gain advantage with distance between you and the
defenders cross away or back.
Yes.
Yeah. No stiff arming. That's no good.
Is leading the offensive player leading his helmet? Is that still warding off?
It can be. It can be
It
speared.
could be leading with any part of his body. He's using his body in any way. It could be a shoulder, could be an arm, could be a head. Yeah, it is. Read the book.
Look, at some point, again, and maybe my part with the 2 hands on the stick was talking about, this is where I was going maybe in my head, was when you have attackers who are trying to lower their shoulder, lower their head. This is called the bull dodge, right? And you're trying to go into a defender. Part of that is really important that, yes, that the minimum requirement at that point is that you have both hands on the stick. So that was my comment from earlier. But at some point, while you can be guilty of warding or even, spearing, we don't allow you to use your head or your shoulder, in a way where you're gaining some sort of huge advantage like that, where you're going into somebody. That's similar to a charge in basketball. It's not quite the same, but that would be the closest parallel that we have to it.
A player in possession of the ball shall not use his free hand or arm or any other part of his body to hold, push, or control the direction of the movement of the cross or the body of the player applying the check. So when you see the guy running down there and the kid's coming at him and he goes like this and leans into him with the shoulder or with the head, that's a ward. And you just, blow the whistle, turn it over, and go the other way.
And like anything, we're still going back to this principle of safety and advantage, disadvantage, and again, what is the level of play? But in general, if it's like a basketball charge, if that's what it looks like in a youth game, that's probably warding. That's the easiest way to explain it for level 1 and 2 and the games you're going to be doing. Cool. All right. Here we go. I think that's you or me or withholding the ball from play. So anytime a player is lying on the ball, they're clamping without picking it up. They've used their thumb to hold the ball in their cross. They clamp the stick to their chest, or you have a situation where they've lost their stick and then the ball is underneath like that. That's just automatic withholding, and we do this. That's the signal, and then we just give it to the other team. So another technical foul. We also can call this. When you've got a face-off guy who is just simply clamping the ball and he's not letting the ball, he's not trying to pass it, he's not trying to make any sort of move, he's just holding the ball onto the ground. He does that for so long in a face-off, that's what's holding him and give it to the other team. Because the longer he does this, you know what's going to happen? You're going to have the player start to swing at that, and that's where it's like, nope, we're not letting you do that. We're not going to get your wrist broken, and we're going to give the ball to the other team. So that's a common one with holding. Go over and back. So very similar to the backcourt violation of basketball, offense cannot bring the ball back over the midline after touching it into their attack box. There are some exceptions to this, and the two of them are if it's a situation where it's a shot and it ricochets or rebounds off of somebody else or even the goal, that's not over and back. The other one is if you have a situation where the ball is tipped by the defensive team, we do the same thing. We say tip, and so there's no over and back violation. The other problem with the over and back violation that's hard, if I can click this. Oh, so over and back, the difficulty is that if this is the imaginary halfway line, you can have players who are on the other half of the field, and they can actually try and prevent the ball from breaking the plane of the halfway line. And as long as they don't possess it, because if they actually possess the ball, possession is defined as where your feet are. So in this case, if your feet are in the other half of the field, and then you possess the ball, even though the ball hasn't broken the plane, once you have possession, now the ball is possessed in the other half of the field. So that would be this situation of they can try and bat it, and they can use their stick to keep it from actually breaking the physical plane. But as soon as they possess it, then that would be over and back. Similar. So you're going to see a lot of that. But then as they're doing this, they can be stepping on the line. That then puts them offside. So there's a lot of things that come into play when you do have an over and back situation, which is why earlier in the presentation, just like we want the lead officials to get to GLE quickly and be able to make credible decisions on the crease and with goal, no goal, it'd be the same thing for the trailer. They've got to bust back to the halfway line to be able to then have a credible look at what is over and back, what is potentially offside. So over and back is only that's only 2 or 3 years old too. We haven't always had that. So it was different earlier in other sets of rules. So this is another one that's a technical foul. All right, slow whistle technique. So this is always going to be something where anytime you throw a flag, whether it's slow whistle or not, you're always going to say flag down. That's the basic mechanics of it.
And your partner's going to echo it.
The partner needs to say it as well so that everybody knows that a flag is down. When we have a slow whistle, it means that we have the non-offending team. They're still in possession of the ball, and it's not fair to them to kill the play because they could be going down and they're going to attack. So the slow whistle technique with the flag down, but the whistle's not blowing, it's just like the delayed penalty in hockey. It's the same thing. Yell flag down, throw the flag, stay with play, and then you stop play when required. So a shot is not, so when the ball leaves the possession of the attacking player on a shot, and even if the ball hits the ground, if it's a shot, then you let the shot finish. But if the ball were to hit the ground on any other play besides a shot, then you would kill it right then and there. If the ball doesn't hit the ground, but say the defense manages to intercept the pass, then that would end the situation, the play-on situation, and then you would go and enforce the penalty. Once the shot is over and it's missed or it goes out of bounds, or it could even be as simple as the team in possession, right? The attacking team who was initially fouled, they then could commit a technical foul, and then that would kill the play on and stop play. So there's a couple situations where you have to wait to see what happens, and then once play is dead, then you go ahead and I guess they're going to go through them. Offense commits penalty, defense gains possession, injury, end of period, out of bounds, goal is scored.
We still call it penalty even if the goal is scored.
It depends on whether or not it's a technical foul or a personal foul. If it's a technical foul that was the slow whistle flag down, then that penalty is waived. And so then you would just restart with the face-off. But if it's a personal foul, then that penalty is going to be enforced. So anything that's 1, 2, or 3 minutes, we're always going to have time-serving penalties regardless of whether there was a goal or not. But the technical fouls, if the goal is scored, we wave the flag off. And that's still something we report. You still have to go over the scorers table and say, hey, guys, the goal is good. Flag for whatever it was is waved off. All right?
Anybody know if this is, I mean, this was at college, now it's coming to high school, is it youth as well?
Yeah, because we're gonna do whatever NFHS is for OCLA, right?
Right.
So, because we don't have to learn the youth rules.
No, it's just that at all levels.
Yeah. Alright. Okay. Alright.
Cool. Any questions? We need a break.
No,
Lots of questions.
Go ahead, you know.
Hey,
Alright, I'm gonna put up
quick
this.
comment, really quick, sorry.
30 seconds.
We talked about technical fouls and personal fouls. There are technical fouls that if someone conducts them multiple times, they can actually be elevated to personal fouls. So that withholding the ball, I was just reading this, that's one of those that says, a player, players, or teams, wait a second, where is it? Oh yeah, repeated actions of this nature shall be ruled unsportsmanlike conduct. So, if he does it multiple times during a game, you could actually elevate it instead of giving him a technical foul, actually give him an unsportsmanlike conduct. And there's other offenses, technical offenses that occurs to also. So you have to do the fine reading in here, you know.
I think in general, it's just going to be a game management thing where if like a kid is constantly pushing, and he's not listening to you saying, hey, you can't push the guy in the back or something. You know, I guess, but
that pushing isn't really one of them.
Well,
there's like 3 or 4 of them, and that's one of them.
In general, Buck wants you to get the question right on the test, 100%. For level 1 and 2 officials, probably not running into this on the field too much, but.
Well,
if
we're doing test prep, that's a non-releasable, unfortunately.
There you go.
Correct.
Yep, unsportsmanlike conduct penalties are always non-releasable.
No, they always will.
Non-releasable. Always are non-releasable. I thought that's what it is. Okay.
Except for that, yeah, that is releasable.
Hmm?
That is a
Yes,
releasable.
that one's releasable.
Continued violation.
Right.
There we go.
That's a releasable.
Illegal substitution, repeated face-off violations, and something else.
Yeah.
Okay, so before I forget, thank you for coming, thank you for watching at home, and dealing with our issues with the sound. We hopefully fixed it, you're able to see the whole thing. Right now, we've got an exit survey. Also, I'll go over the announcements real quick, but if you want to get that down, let's make sure that's working. You just type in bit.ly/SOCALOA, and I made it lowercase this time because it's case sensitive, and you guys all complained about having to press the caps button on your phone. So lowercase SOCALOA 2, and that'll take you to the exit survey where you can answer your question. But before you answer it though, go ahead and take a minute, talk to the people at your table, talk about your at least three things you're going to take away from this session, 3 things you learned, and then I'll give you a couple minutes to do that, and then I'll end with some announcements, anything you need to know, and then you'll be able to ask questions, and we'll be available. If you're online, you can always send a comment, put a comment on there, or send us an email at board@socallastreps.org. Okay, so I'm going to put up the announcements. I'll do it in just a second. Go ahead and share with the people around you things that you learned, and then in 3 minutes at 8:55, I'll start the announcements so we can end this. All right?
So they are going to play until I bet. We'll see what happens this week. Yeah, somebody lost in SOCALOA. Oh, you're right. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, that's
After
right.
high school.
Those are the ones that were learning that were still out. The
That's high school
down to
No.
Okay, so.
Acceptable. The whole point is to make it easy to type. So.
They'll play, they'll like immediately. They'll play. There's no time in that.
That's interesting. Local ski education, also go to trainings and stuff.
Yeah, that look.
With the new QR codes. Yeah, sure.
And the QR code makes sense. Oh, yeah. You can also control the actually. Yeah, I didn't tell you that. I paint the night. Yeah. It's SoCal where we have to wear all. I made all my socks. So it's frustrating. They basically don't want the ones that are like. Perfect.
Yeah, question about slideshows. I'm talking to you when you're swing it.
That changed last year.
Yeah.
That was the question.
In lacrosse, if you make contact with the stick first and then it reflects.
It was just
And
sunny.
you guys shoot.
Yeah. I used to call it iron back.
Or
Like
if, let's say if they're shooting, they take the call for slashing, I go to shoot over here.
Until
there's a flag. After I shoot the
Last
ball,
2 minutes,
the ice
like 10
sticks
minutes.
in my head.
And there were a lot of fights. They were
But
actually.
yeah, that was the
Came out talking, so they maybe branded because it's like. This is stupid. I mean, I don't know, obviously gonna install level 1. There we go. But so what? That's kind of not gonna change the outcome.
Can you go, oh yeah, here we go. Sean, can you put it back up? The most significant change.
Are you working this weekend?
Position of the face off the line, running back.
Are you? Working.
You can watch videos of Cheeto.
Yeah.
If you click on training session 1, you can watch it.
It sounds easy.
Last week I came here and there was some.
Did you guys see the SoCal Express National Fest?
Everything worked.
His did last year.
Training. Anyway, the sound. But in the sound, I watched it. They made some.
Truthfully.
Well, it's certainly gonna make people.
Well, and, you know, like the transition from 2-man to 3-man is a little easier.
Well, either way, I was thinking about that, but it's really the idea is the area is you're doing the face off.
Okay.
I mean, Chrome had already said they were like these. Okay.
Already. Yeah, they're on some regular ones. There was gonna be another one. Yes. They're gonna do another. You know what?
And then it's like
the radius is just probably over 9. Yeah.
You never called it.
You can go San Diego. Yeah. Oh, it really does.
You're making sense.
Yeah, they said, like that Colorado team was in slips here. Yeah, it was the guy. Depends on how much. That was
Dude, it's weird.
really
Everyone is
so like
but it also doesn't make it hard. Before the game, you just 3-man here over here.
What's the other? The umpire app, everyone is initial check. Someone who's going there.
You just put it down, I'm just gonna tell myself.
Oh, no, that's basically. All right, gentlemen, I'll go over the things again. I'll put up the thing for the checkout in just a second. Also, if you're online watching this, make sure that you do the online check-in sign-in sheet, which is a Google form that I sent you in your email. So you should check your email. Go ahead and do that. You should have done that at the beginning of the session. If you didn't do it now. Write me a little note that you're totally sorry. For this one, so don't forget membership dues are due today. If you need information on that, stay and we'll talk about it, what you need to pay, what you need to do. But basically it's $75 for adults, $35 for junior, $45 for a one-time training fee. That's your first, if it's your first year, that's the training fee you pay. Don't forget to fill out the online application. Who hasn't filled out the online application yet? Okay, make sure you do that today. The reason that we need that is because we need to know your most updated information. Everybody does it every year. You sign it. Also, you electronically you sign an agreement, independent contractor agreement. Also, we need to know who wants to do it this year, and we need to know who's, because sometimes it changes. I'm in a meeting. Love that. Okay. And then also, don't forget to do the sign-in sheets for you guys that are here. Don't forget to complete your exit surveys, which you're doing right now. And then also don't forget to order gear by today. You know, after tonight, I'll talk to Matt and see how many orders he's gotten, to make sure everybody's ordered. I don't know if we're gonna be able to order any extras, although it might be a good idea for us.
So
to
you
figure
got
that out.
now the black tee, like the purple, but we're still working in the purple. We don't have to have a black one.
Now the black one is just if you want an undershirt for your regular high school. Yeah, or just to wear to meetings. I don't know, but it's a nice shirt. And then order the gear, and then fundraising. If you have any ideas for fundraising or anything you'd like to help out with, or your business or whatever is looking for a tax-deductible donation to our nonprofit that we are, let us know. Also coming up, don't forget, tomorrow is actually our. That's all good to go, right, Ojan?
Correct.
Tomorrow is our first fundraiser. And then coming up in the winter, we have, well, this isn't for us, but if you're interested and you want to get a team together to go golfing, represent SOCALOA and help raise money for a local high school team, this is available, the Win-Win Winter Classic. And then our next meeting, don't forget, is Tuesday, December 5th, 2017. As I know, as of now, all locations will be available. So the online option will not be. So next week, next Tuesday, December 5th, plan on attending at your local high school or school. All right. With that, we're 2 minutes over. I'm sorry. So thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. If you have any questions, let me know. Don't forget to fill out that exit survey. That's part of how we keep track of your hours that you were here. Also gives us good feedback that we can use. I know we had some sound issues. Please be kind in your comments about that. We'll try and fix that for the next time. But for our first live session and also live in person and live on the internet, I think it went really well. And again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks, guys. This is where you clap. All right.